older. Prepare. Diamondz on the screen, got the news that you fiend. Current events with a twist, she's the queen. Sass on deck, always staying pristine. Popping collars, turning heads since the teens. Like and sub up if you like the show, but she'll put you on blast for being a hoe. Don't sleep, Diamondz brand new. Comment and share, stay true. Her shine won't fade, get that? Boo boo. Comments blowing up, got the trolls in a tizzy. She keeps it real, never acts too busy. Clap back game strong, keep it crispy. Truth bombs drop and leave them all dizzy. Like and sub up if you like the show, but she'll put you on blast for being a hoe. Don't sleep, Diamondz brand new. Comment and share, stay true. Her shine won't fade, get that? Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo. Boo boo. From culture to politics, stirring up the scene. No filter, pure fire, nothing in between. Subscribers on the rise, haters turning green. Diamonds sparkling bright, yo, you know what I mean. Shining so bright, you can see her from afar. On the grind through the night, she's a superstar. Don't come for her crown, she'll leave you charred. Power in her words, every video a memoir. Gonna say it loud, clear as a bell, I'm Diamond. Not the stories they tell, they try to break me, but I'm still here. Don't come for Diamond, make that crystal clear. Like and sub up if you like the show, but she'll put you on blast for being a hoe. Don't sleep, Diamondz brand new. Comment and share, stay true. Her shine won't fade, get that? Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo. From culture to politics, stirring up the scene, no filter. Pure fire, nothing in between. Subscribers on the rise, haters turning green. Diamondz sparkling bright, yo, you know what I mean. Shine so bright, you can see her from afar. On the grind through the night, she's a superstar. Don't come for her crown, she'll leave you charred. Power in her words, every video a memoir. Gonna say it loud, clear as a bell, I'm Diamond. Not the stories they tell, they tried to break me, but I'm still here. Don't come for Diamond, make that crystal clear. Like and sub up if you like the show, but she'll put you on blast for being a hoe. Don't sleep, Diamondz brand new. Comment and share, stay true. Her shine won't fade, get that? Boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo. I'm as brand new. I'm as brand new. I'm as brand new. Get that boo boo. I'm as brand new. I'm as brand new. Boo boo. Boo boo.
Hola, mi gente. How is everyone doing tonight? So, y'all, I think I finally set up my mic. How does it sound? Do I sound too low? Do I sound too loud? Do I sound muffled? If it sounds weird, let me know so I could just use the mic on my laptop. If you guys can even hear me, can y'all hear me? Can I get a mic check? Okay, long cool woman. Thank you. Yes. All right, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's start from the top. I have to say hello to all my lovelies. Sayla, what's good? Oh, thank you. Juju, hello, darling. Jamie, what's up, mama? Rita R, yes, how are you? Sayla became a member. And you know what? I actually have something for the members. Well, if you become a new member, should I say? Yes, welcome to the squad. You just leveled up with Diamondz. Let the glow up begin. I figured I needed like a little short to let you guys know there's a new member. White Widow baby. Hello, sis. And yes, 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 yes. Thank you, y'all, for coming in. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Rita R, how are you, love? Memphis, Mommy Mars, how are you, darling? Janice, hello, hello. Boo boo. Yes, April made it. Hello. Okay, I got Rita R, Debbie, Kathy S. Hello, how are you, long cool woman? Who am I missing? Zach. Yes, 5x5. Thank you, Zach. Laura Jean, hello, welcome in, welcome in. Y'all, thanks for coming in. Please hit that like. It's gonna be a long one. So, pretty sure you guys have been hearing everything that's been going on with the Epstein files and the DOJ and Trump. And I am not happy. Let me tell you that much. I am not happy. So I'm gonna have my assistant. She's going to narrate a lot of the research that I've done, and I'll come in while on certain points and put my 2 cents in. So just to let y'all know, there is a goal going on, and this goal is for another game night with prizes, but this time it's gonna be with everyone. So I know last time it was just members only, and I got messages, saying that they couldn't come in and stuff. So this next one is gonna be a different game, and it's gonna be for everyone. So once I reach that goal, then we can have that other game night. Another thing is, what was the other thing? There was something else. But yeah, so um welcome in and thank you for being here. I want to start off by playing this little clip from the cabinet meeting that Trump had. Let me know if you guys hear it, okay? Um so I have to add it to the stage now. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know. I guess the settings changed on me. I have to figure that out. So let's start it from the beginning. Let me know if you guys hear it, okay? So you guys don't hear it? Okay. Let me stop sharing and present it again. Let's see. Come on. Don't start with me. All right, I'm gonna try it again. Let me see, because I muted myself. Let me see. Can you guys hear it if I don't mute myself?
A question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
So can you resolve whether or not you did? And also, can you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the instead?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess with the mic, I have to stay, or maybe with the headphones, I have to stay unmuted. I guess. I don't know. But I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to learn this part real quick. So I'm gonna mute it and then hit play and let me know if you guys can still hear it. All right?
Sure. If I can,
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
So can you resolve whether or not you did? And also, can you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the instead?
Yeah, sure. If I can,
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
All right, y'all. Thank you for letting me know that you guys are able to hear it. Rita R, thank you, my love. There is actually, let me see if I can pull up the other one. All right, yes, I made little clips for this for the super chats and the members. So don't come for me, y'all, okay? Boo, look at you dropping coins. Yes, thank you, boo. I'll see you. Thank you, Rita R. Were you guys able to see and hear that? she was trying to dance and stuff. Were you guys able to hear that? Like the her saying, I guess whatever she was saying. But yeah, okay. So this is going to listen. Trump, we are oh no, it's pouring outside. Just great. So Trump kind of disappointed me there with his interruption and his statement. Okay. I was livid, all right, because I was like, yes, we need to still be talking about him, all right, because he did some serious damage. Not only him, but he did some serious damage, all right, and he was getting away with it. His pals got away with it. So yeah, you know what? Until we get all the answers, we're gonna keep talking about it, okay? And I know you guys heard all the other news reports, but let me cook real quick. You know I'm MAGA all day. The cause, not the cult. I love what Trump's been doing for this country, and he did pick a solid team. But that BS we were just fed about Epstein, nah, it's not gonna cut it. Y'all know me. I tell it exactly like it is. I always have and I always will. People can't stand that about me. They'll twist it and say I'm trying to get back into someone's good graces, Matthew, or that I want the wanker. Child, please. Look, I'm a realist. I know we need spies and we need intel. I had people I'd hit up in the hood back in the day when we were looking for our fugitives. You need inside info sometimes. But let's not get it twisted. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't an informant hero. That man was a monster. And by the time he was done, a full-blown demon. And if he was really out here exposing politicians and the elite, like some of y'all claim, then why were there 0 arrests? I'll wait. And I'm not talking about Maxwell. We're not stupid, Mr. Trump. We get that Bonzi and Patel might be under pressure. I mean, come on, Trump. You almost got your wig pushed back at that rally. Let's keep it a buck. But what you won't do is look into the camera and tell us there's nothing to see here. Because when you say that, that's exactly when we go digging deeper. And let me say this too. The DOJ did good with the Kennedy files. There was some shady stuff in there too. And they handled that with transparency. So, y'all talk a big game about going after the top dogs. Let us see it then. We're not asking for much, just receipts. And can we talk about how the Epstein file ended up with the left, with the left before anyone else even saw it? Axios, I mean, come on now. That had me bugging. It's always some weird rollout when the truth starts creeping too close. Oh, and this just proves that Trump doesn't have all that king power the radicals claim he has. And don't come for me with the that's because he was one of the clients. He's covering up for himself bullshit. If that was the case, Hillary rode him Clinton because that's what she should have did to her man so he wouldn't he wouldn't have hit up Monica Lewinsky. That's another story. And her grimy goons would have dropped that tea with receipts years ago. Honestly, they could have just told us the files weren't ready yet, or they needed them sealed because Maxwell has an appeal coming up. But don't gaslight us with this everything's fine energy when clearly there's fire behind the smoke. This one got me hot, like real hot, and it really made me go and dig a little deeper. So, with that being said, I am going to let my AI assistant cook. Oh, who's here? Mrs. T, hello, darling. Thank you, thank you. Let me get that song going again. Ooh, look at you dropping coins. Yes, thank you, boo. I see you. Get it, Diamond. Okay. um, no, I don't think that at all. Hillary would have outed him back into yes, exactly. Exactly. Let me scroll up and see what you guys are talking about. Yeah, I mean anybody that wanted to make sure that Trump wasn't going to become our president, they would have outed him a long time ago. All right, with everything else that was popping off. Okay? Like they hit him with everything. Why not that? You know? Sailor, what couldn't you hear? Ooh, oh, that was from before. Hello. Okay. I want all the dogs, not just the top ones. I hear you. Yes, I hear you. Rocket Queen. Hello, darling. Welcome in. He promised to show the list before he was elected. Yes. Yes, that was one of his promises. And he's been good up until now. Like, come on, what happened to the promises made, promises kept? Like, we got to do this. So let me stop sharing this real quick and let me pull up. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Let me pull up my homegirl because she worked hard on this one. She worked really hard on this one. So let's present this and share the audio. Why do I have to keep adding it to stage? I thought it would automatically do it. So, do you think this is fallback for Pastor BB? Uh, no. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the big beautiful bill had it was on stage by itself, you know? Um and I believe the DOJ was under a lot of pressure to release something, all right? Because I mean, Bondi literally said, "Oh, it was gonna be released the next day after her little stunt," and it wasn't. All right, and I'm like, "Come on, months down the line, she was probably getting hit with a lot of bull, and she's just like, you know what? Let's just release this real quick because I really don't I don't get it. I feel like they lied. Period. Like they all lied. That's how I'm feeling right now. And um, when my assistant starts explaining, because she gets like we went deep, y'all. Okay, So you guys are gonna understand like why a lot of this is happening because of Epstein's past. Okay. Hey Rebel. How are you, darling? Thanks for coming in. Okay. So I was thinking at first it was because he was just overwhelmed at the moment and he's sick of this subject. That man has a ton of his shoulders right now. I gotta believe this. I hear you, Mrs. T. I hear you. It's just when when you hear what I'm about to present, like I felt like his statement at the cabinet meeting was uncalled for. Okay. Because everything that I've researched, I mean, like I had to stop and like literally leave the studio because it made me sick. It literally made me sick, you know. And then when you have when you have sisters or young children, young daughters and stuff, it's like me picturing my babies going through that. Like I would really I would really do some serious time, okay? Because I know our justice system is so corrupt that they're either gonna get life in prison or a slap on the wrist. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't think that you should be on this earth if you're doing what you're doing to these little kids. Okay? So I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take you out and I'm gonna go to jail happy. Okay? So hey Gail, how are you, my love? So yeah, bear with me guys, because like I said, I hope you guys have your snacks and your drinks ready. If not, go grab them because this is gonna be long. And Stayla, are you ready to come up, my love? I'll drop let me drop the link because I need your input in this as well. So there's the link, or anyone who wants to come up and talk about what my assistant is gonna be bringing up. Um, I dropped the link in there, so Stayla, pop on up whenever you can. And once again, y'all, I'm gonna mute it and let me know if you guys can hear it, okay?
Jeffrey Epstein's journey from a Brooklyn upbringing to mingling with the elite is as bizarre as it is disturbing. Born in 1953 to a working-class family in Coney Island, he proved academically gifted in math and science. But college wasn't his path. Epstein dropped out of university without a degree, yet somehow landed a teaching job in 1974 at the exclusive Dalton School in Manhattan. How? The headmaster at the time was Donald Barr, father of future U.S. Attorney General William Barr, who hired the 21-year-old Epstein as a math and physics teacher despite his lack of credentials. This improbable entry into high society would set the stage for everything to come. At Dalton, Epstein quickly gained a reputation for unconventional, even inappropriate, behavior around students. Former pupils recall the young teacher strolling the halls in a fur coat and gold chains, flirting openly with teen girls, and even attending student parties. I can remember thinking at the time, this is wrong. One former male student said about Epstein's overly familiar attention toward female classmates. Epstein's tenure was brief. By 1976, he was dismissed from Dalton, officially for poor performance. Some have long wondered if there were darker reasons. Donald Barr's connection adds an eerie twist. Not only did he give Epstein his start, but a year earlier, in 1973, Barr had authored a science fiction novel titled Space Relations, an outlandish tale of intergalactic sex slavery. The book's plot centers on an ambassador sold to a colony where decadent elites keep kidnapped human sex slaves, including a 15-year-old girl being S.A. in front of onlookers. It's a chilling coincidence, or something more, that the man who opened the door for Epstein wrote fiction mirroring the exact crimes Epstein would later commit. Talk about foreshadowing. In simple terms, Barr's novel depicts powerful people abusing young captives for pleasure, which is uncomfortably close to the accusations against Epstein and his associate Ghislane Maxwell decades later. Whether this was fate or a dark inside joke of the universe, it's downright spooky.
Hey, Stayla.
Hey, I had a little bit of technical difficulty, sorry.
I know. I was like, wait a minute, let me drop her back down because I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thanks for coming up. Okay. So basically, Donald Barr writes a creepy novel about underage slaves in space, then turns around and hires a 20 something college dropout to teach at an elite school. You can't make this up. Is this coincidence or the deep state's twisted sense of humor? Either way, Epstein's life was off to a sketchy start from the jump. What did you think about that book? Did you know about that book?
No, didn't read that book.
Well, I didn't read it. I mean, I from from what I gathered, I mean, it was crazy. I didn't read it because I know they were selling it on eBay for so much money, and I'm like, I'm not gonna order that because the feds are gonna be they're gonna come knocking on my door. I ain't doing that. Hello, Nora. Hi,
We don't want to
sis.
be put
How
on a
are you?
watch list.
For real. And that's why I told my husband, I was like, yo, after these two lives, because there's a part two. After the second one, I'm gonna have to delete all this stuff off my laptop. Even though, even if you delete it, they
They
still can find
still,
out.
yeah.
But girl, it's crazy. Hey, Jay Marie, good to see you, darling. Welcome in.
Hey, Jay.
All right, let me.
Epstein's brief teaching stint became his springboard into finance. Among Dalton's wealthy parent community was Alan A. Greenberg, the high-flying chairman of investment bank Bear Stearns. Impressed by Epstein's math acumen, or perhaps just doing a favor for Dalton's headmaster, Greenberg offered Epstein an entry-level job at Bear Stearns in 1976. Epstein started as a low-level assistant to a trader but climbed fast. By 1980, only 4 years in, he'd been promoted to limited partner. He was advising the bank's richest clients on complex tax schemes and options trades, cultivating an aura of financial whiz-kid prowess. It didn't last. In 1981, Epstein was abruptly asked to leave Bear Stearns under murky circumstances. He later claimed he'd violated a financial regulation rule. Regardless, Epstein maintained close ties with Bear Stearns' top brass even after his ouster and continued doing business with the firm until its 2008 collapse. With an inflated head, he founded a consulting firm in 1982 called Intercontinental Assets Group, IAG, billing himself as a genius financial bounty hunter. He boasted of working for governments and billionaires to recover embezzled funds, and in the same breath, admitted some clients were themselves swindlers hiding money. In one early case, he helped a Spanish heiress recover millions lost in a fraudulent investment house's collapse. Epstein even started dropping hints that he was an intelligence agent of some sort. Yes, you heard that right. By the 1980s, Epstein was telling certain people that he worked in intelligence. We'll revisit this bombshell later. Epstein's Rolodex and reputation grew through the mid-1980s as he tapped into a network of powerful, shady characters. Notably, he began working with Stephen Hoffenberg, a New York businessman running Towers Financial Corporation. Towers turned out to be a massive Ponzi scheme, one of the biggest investor frauds in U.S. history, and when it imploded in 1993, Hoffenberg went to prison. Epstein, who had been paid handsomely as a consultant and flew around on Hoffenberg's private jet in the late 80s, somehow escaped any charges when the scheme was exposed. It's unknown if Epstein stashed away any of those ill-gotten millions for himself, but it certainly didn't hurt his nascent fortune. During the Iran-Contra era, Epstein even brokered deals for Adnan Khashoggi, a Saudi arms dealer who was moving weapons from Israel to Iran. Epstein was networking in
Rita R, thank you so much, darling. Thank you, thank you. Welcome to the new members. Let's play the song real quick. Yes, welcome to the squad. You just leveled up with diamonds. Let the glow up begin.
I
Let's
love
see who
that.
got it. She's funny, I swear. Let's see who got it. Oh, I gotta go into YouTube. Lord. All right, so Rocket Queen got one. Anita Casey, Nikita Marie, Dana, and Marsha E. Thank you, Rita R. Welcome, everyone. Woohoo! Now you guys can use
Yay.
that bitch be gone spray, and throw up those rabbits jumping in the hole. All right, let's get back to you. Did you hear about what she was saying about his how he used to deal with Israel and the arms dealings and all that stuff?
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
know about that stuff. I never read that book or anything, but I did
mm,
do a deep dive into his background and stuff. He's a scum. He's
yes,
scum.
yes, he definitely is.
Some seriously dark circles of money and espionage by his early 30s. But the single biggest boost to Epstein's wealth and status arrived in 1987 when he crossed paths with Les Wexner.
Mhm.
Wexner, the billionaire behind L Brands' Victoria's Secret, became Epstein's mentor, patron, and essentially his sole publicly known client. Wexner was dazzled by Epstein's charm and financial jargon. By 1991, Wexner had entrusted Epstein with full power of attorney over his empire, meaning Epstein could sign checks and make deals on Wexner's behalf, no questions asked. Epstein moved to Columbus, managed Wexner's finances, helped build his mega yacht, and was even named a director of the Wexner Foundation. It was an astonishing level of trust. Through Wexner, Epstein acquired a vast Manhattan townhouse, a 7-story palace on East 71st Street, essentially for free. Wexner bought it, renovated it, and by 1995 left it to Epstein, who officially took possession in 1998 for $0, or a token $20 million. This 21,000 square foot mansion would later become infamous as Epstein's New York lair of abuse. Wexner's patronage effectively made Epstein a rich man, though the exact extent of the wealth transferred remains opaque. As one journalist dryly noted, there's scant proof of Epstein's supposed billionaire status beyond Wexner's money. In fact, after Epstein's crimes came to light, Wexner cut ties and said Epstein had misappropriated vast sums from him, suggesting Epstein might have enriched himself illicitly even from his mentor. By the early 1990s, Epstein had fashioned himself into a mysterious money manager for the ultra-rich, though in reality almost no one on Wall Street saw him managing investments. He claimed to only take clients worth greater than $1 billion, which conveniently excused the lack of known clients. Quite the trick. If someone asked, "Who do you manage money for?" he'd smirk and say, "Sorry, all billionaires. Very exclusive." In 1996, he based his firm out of the U.S. Virgin Islands for tax avoidance, saving tens of millions in taxes by moving his operations to that lenient jurisdiction. Epstein was now set up as an international man of mystery, lavish homes in New York, Florida, and Paris, a private jet, a private Caribbean island, and endless name-dropping of famous friends. He cultivated an image of a Gatsby-like financier-philanthropist, donating to elite institutions, Harvard, etc., and schmoozing scientists, princes, and politicians. All the while, according to later allegations, Epstein and his right-hand woman Ghislane Maxwell were luring and abusing underage girls behind the scenes. But on the surface, in the 90s, Epstein appeared to be just another high-flying money man who loved throwing parties, and powerful people flocked to his events.
So Epstein's wealth was basically handed to him by Wexner.
Mhm.
The guy goes from a college dropout to managing, quote unquote, a billionaire's fortune overnight. Let's be real. Epstein's financial genius persona was likely as fake as the Austrian passport they later found in his safe. More on that soon, by the way. For now, it's clear he was deeply entangled with shady characters, Ponzi schemers, arms dealers, and possibly spies, long before the public had any clue. So, J. Marie, she said something up here. Where is it? I went down a rabbit hole yesterday. I was watching all kinds of conspiracies about Twitch. Yep, yep,
Mhm.
yeah. That rabbit hole is
This is a deep rabbit hole.
it sure is.
And Wexner, Les Wexner, um, you know, he gave basically that real estate is one of the most valuable pieces of real estate in like Manhattan.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's where some of those pictures that you put up there, like with Bill Clinton
Yeah.
in the dress and all that came out of that house.
Mhm.
However, Les Wexner, his mansion, like if you go on Google Earth and like go down on it, like really far down on it and look, there's actually like this deep hole on his mansion property. And eh, it's like a pit where it burns stuff down there if you look at it.
Mm.
And it's like really deep and it looks like there's places where people can stand around the rim
Mhm.
and look over into it.
Yeah.
And I can just only imagine.
Yeah, you can only imagine. I mean, he wasn't only burning pictures and and
No, no, no,
paper.
no, no. I think this is something far
Yeah,
deeper.
the
And
very
and
is.
and
Exactly.
and honestly, Les Wexner, he was a very, very rich and wealthy man and still is.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you got to think, okay, did I think, okay, Epstein worked for a three-letter government institution. I don't know if I should say it on here because I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
But you
well,
you
she's gonna talk about it. Mhm.
okay. Well, I was just saying
Yeah.
because yeah, we know that he was working for higher ups. He really was the fall guy. He's a piece of trash,
Yeah.
but he really was the fall guy
Yeah.
because if the crap went down, the higher ups aren't going to go down for it. But
Exactly. He's the
I per-
scapegoat just like Diddy.
yeah, but I
Yep.
personally believe that he had some bad stuff on Wexner,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that is how he acquired a lot of this property.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Sherry, welcome in. I love your content. Thanks. All right.
Hi,
Let's get the
Jerry.
song going. Where is it at? Boo! Look at you dropping coins. Yes. Thank you, boo. I see you. She's so silly.
Oh, Lord. I love Boo Boo.
Right? All right. Let's finish this.
By the mid-1990s, Jeffrey Epstein had transformed into a fixture in elite social circles, often accompanied by Ghislane Maxwell, the Oxford-educated daughter of British media mogul Robert Maxwell. Maxwell, who had her own tangled history, including her father's mysterious death at sea in 1991 and rumors of him being a Mossad agent, became Epstein's girlfriend and then chief aide. Together, Epstein and Maxwell were a charismatic duo hosting lavish dinners and cocktail parties at his Manhattan mansion and Palm Beach estate, replete with celebrities, scientists, Wall Street titans, and political figures. Epstein collected influential friends like trophies. He had a habit of name-dropping acquaintances ranging from British royalty. Prince Andrew was a familiar guest, to A-list actors and renowned professors. At the core of Epstein's circle were figures who either enjoyed his hospitality or sought his money. He donated millions to academic causes, which bought him proximity to luminaries like Stephen Hawking and Nobel laureates. Epstein would fly a cadre of scientists to conferences in the Virgin Islands, all expenses paid. At the same time, he surrounded himself with beautiful young women, many of them European models, struggling actresses, or even students, under the guise of assistant jobs or mentorship. With hindsight, it's clear many of these young women were groomed or abused victims, coerced to provide massages and more. But to the rich and famous mingling at Epstein's soirees, he appeared to be living the Playboy dream. Private jets, his infamous Boeing 727 nicknamed the Lolita Express, private island getaways, and a rotating cast of attractive companions. Many powerful men indulged in Epstein's world, perhaps not asking too many questions about the host's actual business. After all, Epstein could be charming, generous, and fiercely intelligent in conversation. He made people feel important. And, disturbingly, he may have been secretly recording some of them for leverage. According to later reports, his residences were wired with surveillance cameras, raising the possibility he collected compromising material on his friends for future blackmail. Two of Epstein's most notable associations during this era were with former President Bill Clinton and future President Donald Trump. In different ways, Epstein cultivated close ties to both, which would later become sources of intense scrutiny. Let's delve into each of those high-profile connections. Epstein and the Clinton connection. Jeffrey Epstein's connection to the Clinton family ran deep enough that it raises serious questions. Epstein had befriended President Bill Clinton by the early 2000s, if not earlier, through mutual friends and the charitable scene. In fact, Epstein was such a known associate that he visited the White House during Clinton's first term. White House logs show Epstein, sometimes accompanied by Ghislane Maxwell, visited the Clinton White House numerous times between 1993 and 1995. One tally suggests at least 17 visits in that period. There's even a photograph from September 1993, during a VIP reception after a White House donor event, that captured Epstein and Maxwell chatting with President Clinton in the Oval Office. Yes, you heard that right. Epstein and Maxwell were in the White House rubbing elbows with Clinton during his presidency. Epstein cultivated high-level connections like these to boost his own status. Seeing Epstein welcomed into the halls of power, long before his crimes were known, is a stark reminder of how connected he was. After Clinton left office, the relationship continued. In 2002, Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet multiple times. Clinton's office would later acknowledge for trips, though flight logs indicate Clinton took a total of at least 26 flights on Epstein's planes, counting each leg as separate. One much-discussed trip was a 2002 tour of Africa on Epstein's plane alongside actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker to promote Clinton Foundation initiatives. That same year, Epstein donated $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation, and photographs show Clinton warmly paling around with Epstein. By many accounts, Clinton and Epstein appeared to be friends. Clinton even invited Epstein to events like a 1995 fundraising dinner. Epstein was enough of a Democratic donor to be on the guest list. Ghislane Maxwell was such a fixture that she attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010, blending in with other high-profile guests. Imagine, the woman now convicted of sex trafficking was a personal guest at the former first daughter's wedding. What did Clinton know? Publicly, his team insists he knew nothing of Epstein's illicit activities. Clinton's spokesperson in 2019 said the president knows nothing about the terrible crimes and had only taken a few charitable trips with Epstein, always with staff and Secret Service present. Clinton denied ever visiting Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, Little St. James, though witnesses have claimed Clinton did visit the island after his presidency, a claim Clinton flatly denies. However, one of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Giuffre, swore in a deposition that in 2001 she saw Clinton on the island one evening with Epstein, Maxwell, and two young girls from New York. Giuffre said Clinton never acted inappropriately with her and mostly talked with Epstein about politics, but the very idea that a former president might have been on Pedophile Island has fueled endless speculation. Additionally, investigative journalist Conchita Sarnoff reported that flight logs show Clinton ditched his Secret Service detail on at least 5 of his Epstein jet flights, highly unusual for a former president if true. Perhaps the most explosively, there have been whispers of blackmail involving Clinton. In 1998, during the Monica Lewinsky scandal, President Clinton reportedly was warned that foreign intelligence, specifically Israeli intelligence, had tapes of his phone sex conversations with Lewinsky. According to a 2014 book by Daniel Halper, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hinted to Clinton during Middle East peace talks that Israel had obtained compromising recordings of Clinton-Lewinsky chats, effectively using them as leverage to push for the release of Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard. Clinton appeared stricken and later even suggested to Lewinsky that they might have been monitoring their calls all along. While the Israeli government denied such blackmail, the story persists that Mossad had Clinton by the short hairs. Now, why is this relevant to Epstein? Because Epstein has long been suspected by some observers of having ties to Israeli intelligence, or at least running a sexual blackmail operation. His closest partner, Ghislane Maxwell, was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who himself has been posthumously accused of being a Mossad asset. It's not a huge leap to wonder if Epstein may have served as a conduit for sexual blackmail material, possibly even including evidence on figures like Clinton. And then there's the weird art. When Epstein's New York townhouse was raided in 2019, among the bizarre decor, a human chessboard with scantily clad pieces, rows of eyeballs and glass on the walls, etc., was a certain painting in a place of honor. Epstein had prominently displayed an oil painting of Bill Clinton wearing a blue dress and red heels, posed flirtatiously in the Oval Office. The dress was unmistakably a reference to Monica Lewinsky's infamous blue dress. The portrait, titled Parsing Bill, was painted by an artist as a satire in 2012, but Epstein loved it enough to hang it where all his guests would see. A law enforcement source who saw it said, "Everybody who saw it laughed and smirked." But the meaning was clear. Epstein literally hung Bill Clinton's dirty laundry on his wall. Was it a taunt? A signal of some hold he had over Clinton? It certainly underscores how intertwined Epstein was with the former president, and perhaps that Epstein enjoyed a private joke about Clinton's scandal. Given all this, it's no wonder that when Epstein's crimes finally made headlines, Bill Clinton rushed to distance himself. He issued statements that he hadn't seen Epstein in years, knew nothing of the wrongdoing, etc. And indeed, there's no evidence Clinton was involved in Epstein's abuse of girls. But the optics are terrible. Clinton was on the plane, at the mansion, possibly on the island, and friendly with the fixer, Maxwell. For conspiracy theorists, and frankly, for average concerned citizens, it raises an eyebrow. Just how much did Bill Clinton know? Was he simply a convenient mark for Epstein's networking, or was there a more sinister quid pro quo? We may never know, because if evidence exists, it hasn't been made public. It is worth noting that sources from Epstein's world claim Epstein kept compromising material on many powerful men, potentially as insurance. One Israeli former intelligence officer has outright said Epstein ran a honey trap operation in service of either US or Israeli intelligence, recording VIPs in compromising positions. None of that is proven, but boy does it make you think twice about those Clinton-Epstein flights.
Mhm.
The Clinton Epstein connection is where I started hollering. If there's nothing to hide, why the heck did Epstein have a giant painting of Bill Clinton in the blue dress in his house?
And did you notice the red shoes? And you know what the Red Shoe Club is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you and Daisy talking about it.
Yeah, that's real though. It really is.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting. And did you also see, speaking of pictures, there was another picture hanging in there of former President Bush, not senior, but junior,
Junior.
sitting on the floor with like paper airplanes with blocks like the Twin Towers, because,
What?
yeah. I'll send that to you for the next one.
Oh yes, you need to send. I
Yeah.
completely missed that one.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-mm.
And see, I think these are winks and nods to those people who he was in cahoots with because of the
Mm-hmm.
true things that were going on behind the scenes.
Yep.
And him being in with Mossad, you know what I'm saying? With Ghislane Maxwell's dad, who
Mm-hmm.
had connections with Mossad, or however you say that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
and it goes back to what I was talking about in my other life, where Netanyahu, well, not Netanyahu, but the whole war between Iran and the United States.
mhm,
Because we entered an arms deal with them.
right.
All right.
Mhm,
And when I was doing research on that, I didn't even know that Epstein had a play in it.
mm,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's just like everything is like falling together. Like the pieces of the puzzle are there.
they're there.
And it sucks because like Google doesn't like it doesn't give you what you search for. Like you have to go into different browsers and put in different words, certain words
Mhm,
to get some type of information,
mhm,
you know? And
yep.
a lot of this stuff was happened, while I was just a little girl and I was just like, "Yo, that's crazy." Like Israel's leaders of
I mean, we stand with Israel, of course,
course,
because God
of course.
says, but that doesn't mean that the leaders are not sick or
Exactly.
twisted or wrong, just
Yep.
like America. I mean, America is supposedly a Christian nation, but that doesn't mean that we haven't had some serious effed up presidents. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Yep, you're right. So yeah, it was like Epstein was flaunting, "I've got Bill on a string."
Yep.
And Hillary, girl,
Mm,
suddenly I have an idea why you deleted those emails. Maybe those yoga routines were something else. The whole thing think stinks to high heck. Clinton can deny it all day, but the receipts, like the flight logs, the photos, and the witnesses, say he was way too close to Epstein for comfort.
mhm,
I'm giving this major side eyes.
mhm.
Who popped in? Hey, Deal. How are you, darling? Thanks for coming in. I told you a blue velvet dress stained with, oh yeah. Yeah, with
Jizz.
like the
Jizz.
the navy, let's say seaman.
Yeah. Oh,
Cuz listen.
Hillary, she was there a lot too. And I
Mm,
don't know if you have heard of in fact, this woman came out with a lot of this stuff. She got a lot of this stuff released back in the early 90s because she was rescued from the MK Ultra project,
mm.
through the government and the
Mhm,
sea.
mhm. CIA,
You know what I'm
yes.
talking
I
about?
don't mind saying it because you know
Okay.
what? There's so many words and so many topics that I'm talking about here that I know
Okay.
for a fact I'm gonna get flagged.
I just want to
and
make
they'll
sure
probably
before I
take
said it.
yeah, no, they'll probably take my monetization away, which I don't care because this needs to be out there.
Right.
Okay,
You,
so
YouTube, if you do
you
that.
know,
I'm
just I
kidding.
mean, she like my assistant, she went ham. Like there's sometimes she'll switch it up and she'll say SA instead of like, the sexual
Yeah.
abuse or
Mhm.
whatever. And she'll use certain words and stuff because like it's really graphic.
Mm.
But like I said, I already know that, this live is gonna be flagged and it is what it is. But I'm like, you know what? This needs to be talked about, like for real, for
Right.
real.
Well, Kathy O'Brien is the woman's name I'm speaking of. And if you want to, I can send you some stuff before the next time and you can take a deep dive there. But she
Yes.
got a lot of this stuff like outed and unredacted. And it
Mhm.
came to be known what was going on because she has had personal experiences with Hillary Clinton. And
Mm.
it's like in the files, the CIA files that were, unredacted or whatever, like where
Uh-huh.
they were blocked. But anyway, Hillary was more into girls. So, like, she actually was given to Hillary as a gift when she was 12, and they mutilated
Oh
her
my goodness.
genitalia. This Kathy O'Brien woman,
Wow.
yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna send you some stuff, so you can
That's
look
so
into
sad.
it.
Yes, send it
It
to me.
is
Yes,
sad.
please.
I will, but I just had to mention that because I think that's why Hillary wanted to go over there because she is more into women and young girls. Like this,
Young girls.
Kathy
Yep.
O'Brien was 12 when this happened to her,
That's
and
so
this is
sad.
when Bill was a governor of
Wow.
Arkansas. Yeah,
Wow.
so
Hey,
and
Sarah.
I got receipts, so
Yes, send them on over, girl.
I
Cause
will.
like I said, there's gonna be a part 2 because it's it's a lot more that I have to get into.
I know you
How are
do.
you, Sarah?
Hey, Sarah.
I turn gay if I was married to Bill too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can't blame her for that, but I don't like her very at all.
Oh, no.
She
You
is a
haven't said
witch.
anything that flags this live, in my opinion. It's opinion, not using others' content either. Yeah, yeah, but you know how YouTube is. You say certain words and they're like, "Oh no, this is
Gotcha.
not for a
They
certain
control the
viewers." And
knowledge.
I'm like, "Okay, so if it's not for certain viewers, those freaking viewers shouldn't be watching my ish."
Right. You're not doing it you're not showing this to kids. I mean, and adults. They
And
just
listen,
it's controlling
just
the knowledge.
exactly. And just to put this out there for anyone who may see this later on, okay? Um, I got cameras everywhere, okay? And I have an arsenal. So if you try to come for me because I'm putting the truth out there, you better
Right.
catch me on the outside because on the inside, it's over.
Correct.
I don't care who you are, all right? You have to
It's
send
like
a freaking army after me
trying to leave
because
Scientology or the Freemasons, they'll send people to like follow you around.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
had that happen to
exactly.
me. They
Like
have.
I already warned my husband and stuff, and he's just like, "Are you really sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes, we need to do this. I need
Yep.
to do this. Like this is so crazy, Like I can't."
Right. People need to be
It's right. It's only my opinion,
right.
okay? I'm the peanut gallery. I stated in my opinion. Yes, Sherry, absolutely. No, that was just basically for, those people that are like, "Why are you putting the truth out there?" And now they're gonna start looking into us and da 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 da. Nope,
How
nope, nope.
dare you put the truth out there?
Right? Exactly. Dang rainstorm made me late because young mom cat left her. Oh, kittens, 6 of them. So I had to dry them off and put them.
Oh,
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, we
Sarah.
had a freaking. It's still raining here over here,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is
not
here
storming
too.
anymore.
I think it's that
Crazy
cloud
weather.
seeding, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
In my
Don't
opinion.
start none, won't be none. That's right. Let me see those shirts in the chat. Don't start none. I have that. Hold on. There we go. I put that as a new emoji. Don't start no ish, won't be no ish.
Correct.
That's
Period.
period. All right. Let me move on because girl, I still have a whole lot to go.
Ugh.
All right.
Epstein and Donald Trump, from friends to foes. Epstein's ties to Donald J. Trump go back decades as well. In the 1980s and 90s, Both men navigated the same high society and real estate circles in New York and Palm Beach. Trump, a flamboyant real estate mogul and socialite, and Epstein, the mysterious money man, had quite a bit in common: wealth, or appearance thereof, a taste for glamour, and a penchant for young women. They schmoozed at each other's parties and dinners. Epstein was a regular at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach after Trump opened it in the mid-90s. Mar-a-Lago was effectively Trump's home and social club, and Epstein was a welcome guest for a time. In fact, Ghislane Maxwell saw Trump as a prime target to be in their orbit early on. She knew Trump through her father. Robert Maxwell had interacted with Trump in the late 80s as a fellow big shot. Epstein and Maxwell seemingly made a point to cultivate Trump. And by the looks of it, Trump enjoyed their company too. A now infamous photograph from February 2000 shows Donald Trump, his then girlfriend, now wife, Melania Knauss, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislane Maxwell all together, smiling at a Mar-a-Lago party. They look like a quartet of old friends having a grand time. Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago, 2000. At the time, Epstein was a familiar face in Trump's social circle. Trump later said this evening was one of the last times they socialized before a falling out. For a while, Trump spoke warmly of Epstein. In 2002, notably the same year Epstein threw a party in Trump's honor, and when Epstein was courting the likes of Clinton, Trump told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy," adding that Epstein was a lot of fun to be with and likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. That quote in hindsight is chilling. Trump was openly acknowledging Epstein's interest in very young women, though perhaps he assumed they were just model type. Note: young, not underage.
And let me reiterate that. Trump liked them young, not underage. Okay?
Mhm. Right.
Nevertheless, at that time Trump saw Epstein as a fellow playboy and admired his social life. Epstein, for his part, reportedly had 16 different phone numbers for Trump in his contacts book, suggesting he was keen to reach Trump whenever needed. The two partied together and, even according to one account, co-hosted a calendar girl beauty pageant at Mar-a-Lago in 1992 with 24 young models and only Epstein and Trump as the male judges. Yes, that actually happened. The organizer was appalled that Epstein was ogling the girls and claims he warned Trump, "I can't have him going after younger girls." But Trump shrugged it off. However, by the mid-2000s, Trump and Epstein had a falling out. Multiple sources indicate that sometime around 2004 or 2005, Trump permanently banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. The reason? According to court documents and witness accounts, Epstein was caught soliciting an underage girl at the club, the teenage daughter of a Mar-a-Lago member who worked as a spa attendant there. In other words, Epstein tried to recruit a 15-year-old girl at Trump's club to bring into his abuse ring. The girl's stepmother, an employee at Mar-a-Lago, informed Trump, and Trump immediately ejected Epstein and barred him for life. This incident in 2005 helped spark the initial police investigation into Epstein in Palm Beach. More on that later. A 2011 court filing later stated plainly, President Donald Trump barred Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after Epstein sexually assaulted an underage girl at the club, confirming what had become local lore. Not only did Trump banish Epstein, but by all accounts Trump cooperated with law enforcement during the ensuing Epstein investigation. The attorney who represented many Epstein victims, Bradley Edwards, has said under oath that Trump was the only high-profile person who picked up the phone and offered to help him back in 2009. Edwards said Trump was forthcoming and gave investigators leads without needing a subpoena. This is significant because many of Epstein's rich friends stonewalled or ignored victim lawyers, but Trump didn't. In a 2018 interview, Edwards stated that Trump gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward, and that Trump helped with the case when contacted. Trump himself, once Epstein was arrested in 2019, publicly stated, "I had a falling out with him. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. I was not a fan." He reiterated that he thought Epstein's lifestyle was very bad and that he distanced himself long ago. It's true that after 2005, Trump and Epstein did not socialize. Maxwell was still invited to Mar-a-Lago for events. She was photographed at a 2007 event at the club, but Epstein was persona non grata. Unlike Clinton, who continued associating with Epstein into the 2000s, Trump appears to have severed ties as soon as Epstein's behavior hit close to home. When Epstein was first under investigation by Palm Beach police in 2006, anecdotally, it said that Trump quietly tipped off investigators, or at least didn't hinder them. One report claims that when Detective Joseph Reccari sought information, Trump told him to come over. I'll tell you what you need to know, and gave a statement detailing Epstein's presence at Mar-a-Lago. This isn't officially confirmed, but it circulates in interviews with victim lawyers. Regardless, by the time Epstein was formally charged in 2007, Trump was completely estranged from him. Fast forward to recent years, this is where things get interesting. In 2023 and 2024, as Epstein-related documents trickled out, some foes of Trump, including Elon Musk, oddly enough, tried to insinuate Trump was in Epstein's black book. However, court documents showed Trump did fly on Epstein's jet. Epstein's pilots confirmed this. And apart from the well-documented social encounters in the 90s, there's no evidence Trump was involved in Epstein's crimes. In fact, Trump's break with Epstein and assistance to prosecutors have earned him unusual praise from unlikely quarters. For example, former Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta, who handled Epstein's first case, more on that next, reportedly said in vetting interviews that he was told Trump was helpful in the case. And Florida Attorney Bradley Edwards publicly stated Donald Trump is the only person who, in 2009, picked up the phone and said, "Let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want," regarding Epstein. So, while Trump and Epstein were indeed friends in the past, something Trump openly admitted before disavowing Epstein, Trump seems to have played a role in Epstein's downfall. It's a fascinating reversal. Epstein courted Trump to be an ally, but Trump showed him the door, and later, as president, Trump's Justice Department finally arrested Epstein in 2019 on federal charges. We'll never know all the details of their interactions, but this much is clear. Trump didn't shield Epstein when it mattered. In contrast to how other powerful people handled Epstein, Trump chose to cooperate with authorities rather than cover for his old pal.
Let's give credit where it's due.
Mhm.
Trump did the right thing when he found out Epstein was creeping on a teenage girl at Mar-a-Lago. Excuse me. He kicked that pervert out in a heartbeat. You all know I don't trust anyone 100%, but facts are facts. Trump helped put Epstein on law enforcement's radar, while a lot of other elites were either enabling Epstein or ignoring his crimes. Trump said, "I'm not a fan," and backed it up with action. There's a big reason I respect him. At the same time, I side-eyed the mainstream media that tries to lump Trump in with Epstein like they were evil partners. Excuse me. No, Trump cut him off and helped him take him down. Frankly, in a saga where so many powerful figures look dirty, Trump's role actually looks clean on this one. Does it erase other issues? No. But on Epstein, Trump isn't the villain. He might just be one of the heroes.
And
So,
I agree on that. And also, let's just be honest. Epstein, if he really had something dirty on Trump whenever he came against him, he would have released that, or he would have
yeah,
threatened him with it if he didn't go
exactly.
with
And
him.
he
Do you
he would have
understand?
told his
Yeah.
lawyer. He would have told his
Right.
lawyer, and his lawyer would
Right.
have put it out there,
Right.
and it would have been
Or at
we
least
wouldn't be
blackmailed
where
him
we
with
are
it so
now.
he wouldn't work against him, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, 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 yep. A lot of people flew on the jet. It's the ones that went on hidden flights that's the problem. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Epstein had many fundraisers for charities that did not involve these underage girls. Many people went to these and were on the plane. Yep, you're
Yep.
absolutely right.
hmm
It's just like lots of people went to Diddy parties, but not the freak offs.
Yep.
Exactly,
They
Rocket.
left
Thank
earlier.
you for
Yeah.
pointing that out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good
Exactly.
point.
I think manifests were destroyed. Yes, absolutely, Sherry. Hey Bobo, how are you? Welcome in. Everyone knew about the freak offs. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
They probably got out of there in a hurry if they didn't want to stay for
Yep, it
that.
was like, "I'm out. Nope,
I'm
I ain't
out.
doing it."
And I do think Trump just thought that Epstein liked, like the 17, 18-ish, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
age.
the young ones,
And
yeah.
yeah, and in a lot of
18 and
states,
up.
17 is legal. It is.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. I mean, 16 is legal, yeah.
yeah, and in my state, I mean, I think it's even younger than that. I think at one time it was like
Mm.
14 or 15. I mean, I think
And
it's
there was
moved up to 16.
yep, and then, there's because I play I used to. I don't have much time to play it anymore, but I play The Sims, and I follow a lot of Simmers, the Sims game,
I used to play a
and
long time ago.
so I follow like the like Little Simsy and a few others, and they like to like build houses and all that stuff. And there's this one that I'm following. She had an episode where her her teenagers had a party and she allowed them to drink. And she was like, just to let you guys know, I believe it was United Kingdom. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that one. But her accent kind of reminded me of like maybe like British or something.
Mhm.
And she said over here, they're allowed to drink at the age of 16.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's good to know. Maybe I'll be moving over." No, let me stop. I'm already
And
old.
in Germany, they don't even have a drinking age. Like, they've got vending machines, I believe, in Germany that, like, kids can go in and like a Coca-Cola, but it's got, like, beer in it.
Mm.
And kids, like, will sit down and have a beer with dinner with their parents and stuff.
Oh, get out. I
Yeah.
can't do that. I can't do that.
No, and I've got friends that'll their moms would throw my mom did that for my 16th birthday, she
Oh,
threw me a
it's not
PJ
no, it's
party.
not easy.
Y'all know what
Oh,
PJ is?
pajamas?
No, it's no, no,
No?
no. It's, alcohol, it's like got Everclear in it and fruit, and it's purple,
Oh,
like
okay,
purple
okay, okay.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, and my mom literally, with one of her friends, threw me a huge PJ party for my 16th birthday with other kids there. I'm looking back on that now thinking, "My mom was crazy for doing that."
Let me tell you, my kids, they know that I'm very strict when it comes to stuff like that. Like my son, he's already an adult now, but he came and he opened my fridge and he was like, "Mom, can I have one of these wine coolers?" And I was like, "Boy, you 17 years old." And he's like, "And?" And I'm like, "No, the legal age of drinking is 21. Sorry." And he's
Yep.
like, "Dang." I'm like, "No, I don't play that. Nope, 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 nope.
Right.
God
Especially
forbid
giving
something
somebody
happens."
else's kids alcohol, because 'cause I'll tell you right now, if somebody gives my, underage child alcohol, like, I'll beat their A double S. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you.
Well, when I was when I was a younger adult, my nephew, you guys know him as Ali. He used to come over to my house on the weekends, when I was with my ex, we used to have like games like with his friends and my friends. So we used to play like dominoes, cards, and all that other stuff. So I had food and liquor and wine coolers and all this other stuff. And boy, I did not know my nephew got into something.
Oh,
And all of a sudden he's throwing up, and I'm just like, "What the hell are you doing? Who gave it
yeah,
to
but
you?"
he
I was
snuck. You didn't give it
flipping.
to him. That was
He was
different.
because he was
Yeah.
mixing, and I was like, "Oh, yep, yep." I was so scared, I'll tell you that much. I was scared,
I would be too, but I would
but
just call if it's his mom or his dad,
yeah,
whatever,
my
that
sister
should
no, my
yeah.
sister was like, "No, good for him. He shouldn't be doing that. Da, 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 da." And
And
I'm like, "You
I'm
better
glad he
come
got
over
sick.
here.
Maybe it'll make him think twice about
You
it next
better come
time.
over here. I'm telling you now." 'Cause man yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, I'm not sure, maybe it wasn't the UK, but I know it was some I gotta go back to it, but when she said 16, I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." Like, I mean, you have adults that can't even hold their liquor, like, can you imagine a 16-year-old? Like
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I tell the truth. Like, I used to drink when I was in high school, like on the weekends, we'd have parties almost every single weekend. And I mean, we would get schnockered. I mean, we
Okay.
would. And, I'm just saying, thank God for the fact that there wasn't phones and all this stuff they have now that,
Yeah, had
I,
beepers.
oh my
I had a
gosh,
beeper. My
I
sister used
can't
to blow up
imagine.
my pager.
I can't imagine them recording all that stuff we used to do back then. I
I
wouldn't want to grow up
know.
in the tech age
What?
of today.
Oh my
No,
goodness, man.
that stuff would still be out there.
Yep. My mom, she was very, very strict, and if she smelled anything on me, like, oh, it was over for me. It was over. So that's why I was like, I always thought about the things that I did before I did it because I didn't think about like getting sick or, the police or anything. I always thought about what is my mother gonna do
Uh-huh.
if she finds out?
Yeah, my mom, she kinda scared me sometimes too. I threw up on my, like, one time I was out and I had a Honda Accord at this time, and I threw up all over the CD tape deck, the equalizer. I mean, it was
Oh,
just chunks
no.
all over it, and I came home,
Ew.
and I know my mom could smell the alcohol, and she was, like, mad and pushed me up against the wall. My daddy said, "I'll take her to the hospital and see if she was drinking or take" what he took me to the Waffle House and gave me some patty melt plate and some coffee and took me back home and said that I was just sick and I had a virus.
Daddy's girl.
I
Man, if I was to find out some ish like that, whoo, child, I'll
know.
be flipping. Like, you lied to me? Really?
Oh, and then
Hey,
you got a
hey, Last
daggone
Leg Trucking. How are you? Thanks for coming in, darling. That, sorry.
oh, no, I was just gonna say this is funny. The next year for my 17th birthday, my mom was gone to a pageant, and my dad, rented me a hotel room. And, like, literally, like, there was 50, 60 kids there from school, and the police came, and we had the whole bathtub filled with ice and all kinda drinks and liquor
What?
and alcohol, and the police just told us we had to leave because there was too many people complaining, and he let us pack our alcohol in our cooler and take it out and put it in my trunk.
Wow.
That was back in the
That's
good
what's
old days.
up, though. Yeah, that was back in the days.
Yeah.
That
So,
is funny.
that's funny.
My dad smoked herb with me when I was 11. Ooh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No comment on that one. Oh, man. All right, let's get this going.
Epstein's house of cards began to collapse in March 2005. A worried mother in Palm Beach reported to local police that her minor daughter had been taken to the mansion of a wealthy man, Jeffrey Epstein, and paid $300 to inappropriately massage him. Palm Beach police, led by Detective Joseph Reccari and Chief Michael Ryder, opened an investigation. The Palm Beach detectives meticulously built a case, including trash pulls from Epstein's house yielding notes with girls' names, subpoenaing his phone records, which showed calls to girls' numbers, and obtaining detailed victim statements. By mid-2006, the evidence was overwhelming. The Palm Beach police wanted to charge Epstein with multiple counts of unlawful relations with minors. But then politics intervened. Police Chief Ryder was so incensed at the soft peddling that he referred the case to the FBI for federal prosecution in mid-2006. Thus, the FBI began a federal trafficking investigation, which ultimately identified at least 40 victims across multiple states and even overseas. It looked like Epstein would finally face serious justice. By late 2007, the FBI had drafted a 53-page federal indictment for the trafficking. But behind closed doors, Epstein's army of high-priced lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, Kenneth Starr, yes, the former Clinton investigator, and others, mounted a full-court press on federal prosecutors. Enter Alexander Acosta, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time. Acosta's office cut a deal with Epstein's lawyers in October 2007, one of the most shameful sweetheart deals in legal history. In this non-prosecution agreement, NPA, Epstein agreed to plead guilty to just 2 state charges, soliciting night walkers and soliciting a minor, in Florida court. In exchange, the U.S. Attorney agreed not to pursue any federal charges. But it gets worse. The NPA also granted immunity to any potential co-conspirators of Epstein. This blanket immunity protected anyone who might have assisted Epstein, effectively shutting down any further investigation into Maxwell or others who procured girls. None of Epstein's victims were informed of this deal as it was made, which itself was a violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act, a judge later ruled. The entire negotiation was done secretly. Chief Ryder later called it the worst failure of the criminal justice system he'd ever seen. So, in June 2008, Epstein stood in a Palm Beach courtroom and pleaded guilty to 2 state felonies, procuring a minor for inappropriate relations. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail. It sounded at least like some jail time, but the reality was another outrage. Epstein's high-power lawyers had arranged for exceptional treatment. He served his time in the Palm Beach County Stockade, not a state prison, and he was allowed a work release that made his jail sentence a bad joke. Starting just a few months in, Epstein was allowed to leave the jail 6 days a week, for 12 hours a day, to work in a downtown West Palm Beach office his lawyers rented for him. He had a driver pick him up and take him to this office, where, absurdly, he claimed to be running his business, his so-called Florida Science Foundation, which conveniently paid off-duty sheriff's deputies to monitor him. Those deputies basically acted as his private security detail. They did not check on what he was doing in the office and merely logged his comings and goings. Epstein was even able to receive visitors at his office. And yes, according to attorneys, some young women were seen coming during those hours, meaning Epstein may have continued abusing victims while on work release from jail. It's absolutely galling. For the roughly 13 months Epstein spent in custody, he got out 5 months early for good behavior. His conditions were ridiculously cushy. He was housed in a private wing of the county jail, often spending nights in the infirmary with a TV and his own phone. He had his cell door left unlocked much of the time, and he'd buy beefy sheriff's deputies gourmet dinners to eat while they guarded him. Epstein's privately paid deputies even wore suits instead of uniforms, acting more like his bodyguards. According to local news, Epstein had unlimited access to a phone and internet during his work release, a television in his cell, and was granted far more visitation than a normal inmate. The arrangement was so scandalous that the Palm Beach sheriff later had to apologize and even launched an internal probe, which led to a few wrist slaps for those involved. Perhaps most tellingly, the visitor logs for Epstein's work release office visits mysteriously vanished in violation of record-keeping rules. A Palm Beach deputy said the logs were likely destroyed to protect the sheriff's office, because if the list of who visited Epstein came out, it would be embarrassing. One can only imagine which influential friends might have stopped by his office. After 13 months, in July 2009, Epstein was let out of jail, and he served a year of house arrest, which, again, he freely violated with permission. He was allowed to travel between his multiple homes, even flying to New York and the Virgin Islands while on supposed house arrest. Local probation officers noted he pretty much did as he pleased. Epstein's money and influence had effectively bought him a slap on the wrist for molesting dozens of girls. It wasn't until years later that this sweetheart deal became widely known, thanks to the dogged reporting of journalists like Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald. The public reaction, when the secret deal came to light, was outrage, especially at Alexander Acosta, the federal prosecutor who approved it. Acosta, who later became labor secretary under Trump, resigned in 2019 amid criticism of the Epstein deal. Acosta would cryptically defend himself by saying, "Epstein was intelligence. It was above my pay grade," implying he was told to back off because Epstein belonged to intelligence. Acosta reportedly said in Trump transition interviews that he had been told to leave Epstein alone as he belonged to intelligence. This stunning claim has never been fully explained by the government. It certainly lends credence to theories that Epstein was protected at high levels, whether by the CIA, FBI, or foreign intelligence, in exchange for information. We do know Epstein had friendships with people in the intelligence community, and he had that bizarre Austrian passport claiming Saudi citizenship discovered in his safe. Why Acosta gave him such a sweetheart deal remains one of the lingering questions. Was it sheer legal brute force by Epstein's lawyers, or did someone up the chain pull strings? Regardless, by 2009, Epstein likely thought he had gotten away with his crimes for good. He paid settlements to many victims to end civil lawsuits, kept a low profile for a bit, and then resumed his jet-setting life, albeit with the label of a registered sex offender. The world at large barely noticed. The Epstein story was largely under the radar in the 2010 to 2015 period, except among his victims and a few intrepid reporters. But justice delayed is not always justice denied, as the next chapter will show.
This part infuriated me. 30, 40 underage victims, and this monster cuts a secret deal to basically go on daily field trips out of jail and walk free. Can you imagine? If it were any regular person, they'd be rotting in prison for decades. But Epstein had money, lawyers, and apparently some spooky intelligence connections. The U.S. attorney literally let him off easy and immunized all his pals. And they hid it from the victims. My heart breaks for those girls. Seeing their abuser get pampered instead of punished, and Acosta saying Epstein belonged to intelligence. Come again? That sounds like deep state calling. It's a blatant cover up. No justice was served in 2008. That's for damn sure. Epstein strolled out of jail and likely went right back to his dirty deeds. It's just, I mean,
He did. You
money
know,
talks, man.
he was doing that same crap when he was going to his office in quotation marks with the
Mhm.
bodyguards. He
Working.
he,
Yep.
yep, he was working all right. He was
And they
working
were
the
keeping
same.
watch, and he
Yep,
paid them to keep watch.
yep, and he was doing the same thing he was doing before.
Yep.
And let's be honest, Maxwell, to me, a woman is even worse doing this crap.
Yeah.
But Maxwell, she was spotted at a lot of the pageants with John Benet Ramsey.
Yeah, I I saw that, but then supposedly it was debunked, and they said that it looked like her, but it really wasn't her, and I'm like,
No,
I
it was
don't
her.
know.
It was her, because I'm gonna tell you something. Y'all know that I used to be in pageants and stuff, and whenever I was in a pageant called Cinderella in Miami, Florida, and where his place was in Palm Beach, this was like in the mid to late 80s. Okay,
Mhm.
there was a couple there at the pageant, and they were going up to like parents and trying to get their information for their children, or going up to the girls that were in the pageants. And this ranged from ages 3 up to 17 years old. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And the two people, they call the directors of the pageant, because this was an international pageant. People were there from Guam, Puerto Rico. It was all America, but still, far
Yeah.
off places, Hawaii,
Mhm.
places like that. I mean, from all over. I mean, there was probably 400 girls in this pageant. But and we went there every year in Miami, after it left from New Orleans. But there was definitely a male and a female there, and the pageant directors pulled all the parents and the children together in the big auditorium and let them know that they were saying they were talent scouts, and they were trying to get information on the children in the pageant. And
What?
yes, the pageant directors, uh Craig Toller and Carl Dunn were their names. And they warned us, do not talk to anyone or give any
Mhm.
information out to those people, because if there were talent scouts there, they would let us know that and who they were.
Yeah.
And they called the police there, because we were staying at the Hyatt Regency right there at Biscayne Bay Boulevard, which is literally, I mean, right beside where his Palm Beach place was. And
Mhm.
think,
Mhm.
if he's a pervert like that, and Ghislane, whatever, Maxwell
Jiz
was going to
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine Maxwell was going to other
Big rock
pageants like with
pink
John
silver.
Benet
Mhm.
Ramsey. Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
we've looked back and looked at that and said, the likelihood of that being them were pretty high.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't have proof it was them, but I'm just saying, I've never heard of any other like female and male people coming in and pretending to be that and trying to get information on girls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's messed up. So I
Yeah, it is.
definitely do believe that she was indeed at those pageants. Looking and what do you
Okay.
call it? Scouting for to try
Scouting,
to, yeah,
exactly.
trying to
Yep.
get kids. Yeah.
Mhm. That's terrible.
Yeah. It's
That's
messed up.
terrible.
It's
I
sick.
don't know.
Sick
I just
people in this world.
and it's crazy because it's like sometimes having like the internet and having social media, it's like the worst thing in the world for some people.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of thankful and grateful that this was like ever created because it's not only in like the United States that this message, gets out,
Right.
like
It's all over.
it's all over the world,
Yeah.
or whoever can get internet, honestly, and it's just
Right.
like, something else needs to be done because obviously we thought that more people were going to get arrested when it came to the Epstein case, and it's not happening,
Yeah, what's happened? I mean, I don't understand
you
who's
know?
putting the kibosh on it. Who's stopping it?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I don't think it's Trump. I really don't.
No, I don't
Because
think I don't think it's
because
him.
he complied before. Why wouldn't he
Exactly.
comply now?
Yeah.
So, like you said, that just shows he doesn't have as much power as people
No,
think that he does.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
After his joke of a jail term, Jeffrey Epstein tried to rehabilitate his image, or at least keep enjoying his riches, with minimal scrutiny. He returned to his lavish lifestyle, dividing time between his mansions. The townhouse in Manhattan, which is one of the largest private homes in NYC, worth $77 million. His 7,500-acre Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, his Palm Beach waterfront estate, his apartment in Paris, and of course Little St. James, his private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He continued to surround himself with young women, though now they were adults, at least on paper, and often of East European origin, labeled as modeling interns or massage therapists. He threw parties and dined with celebs. Astonishingly, some elites who knew of his convictions still associated with him. For instance, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, remained friendly, even visiting Epstein in New York in 2010 and staying at his home after Epstein was a registered sex offender. That trip produced that infamous photo of Andrew peeking out of Epstein's door, and shortly after, Andrew had to step back from royal duties once this became public. Epstein also cultivated new connections. He had Harvard professors, MIT scientists, and even figures like Bill Gates coming to dinners or soliciting donations. Many claim they were unaware of the extent of Epstein's past crimes, believing his narrative that it was an overblown prostitution charge. But make no mistake, Epstein was likely still exploiting girls and young women during this period. Multiple civil suits filed by victims in the 2010s allege that Epstein's trafficking ring continued up until his 2019 arrest. He brought girls from overseas, using recruiters like French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, who allegedly procured dozens of young models for him. In fact, one lawsuit revealed a particularly heinous claim. Brunel gifted Epstein 3 minor French girls, triplets, for his birthday one year, flying them in and turning them over to Epstein to abuse. Epstein allegedly bragged about everything he did. This level of depravity defies words, and it was detailed in court filings that later became public. So, while Epstein outwardly entertained Nobel laureates about physics and funded charity galas, behind closed doors he was still an international trafficker. A notable development in this period was Virginia Roberts Giuffre coming forward publicly. Virginia had been one of Epstein's teen victims, recruited by Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago at age 16 in 2000. In 2011, she began speaking out, and by 2015, she filed a civil lawsuit detailing how Epstein and Maxwell trafficked her to powerful men, including Prince Andrew. A photograph of 17-year-old Virginia with Prince Andrew, with Maxwell smiling in the background, became global news. Prince Andrew to this day denies her account, but eventually paid her a financial settlement in 2022. Giuffre's courageous outspokenness, along with other survivors, put renewed pressure on the authorities to re-examine Epstein's crimes. Civil litigation chipped away at the secrecy. By 2018 to 2019, more and more documents were unsealed, exposing how lenient Epstein's deal was and how many people might have been involved. Also in this period, journalists started digging. The Miami Herald's 2018 investigative series, Perversion of Justice by Julie K. Brown, was a turning point. It laid out the full scope of Epstein's crimes and blasted the 2008 plea deal. This series, which featured interviews with several brave victims, shamed the U.S. Justice Department into action. The public outcry was growing. It was now widely recognized that Epstein had never truly faced justice. The pressure culminated on July 6, 2019, when Epstein was arrested again, this time by federal agents in New York. The Southern District of New York charged him with federal sex trafficking and conspiracy, alleging that from at least 2002 to 2005, Epstein ran a trafficking enterprise abusing dozens of underage girls in New York and Florida. When they searched his Manhattan mansion, they found a trove of incriminating evidence. Thousands of photos of young females, some locked in a safe along with cash, loose diamonds, and a fake passport. Ah yes, let's talk about that passport. Investigators found Epstein had an Austrian passport from the 1980s with his photo but a false name, listing his residence as Saudi Arabia. Why would a supposedly legitimate financier need a phony foreign passport claiming to live in Saudi? Epstein's lawyers absurdly argued he kept it in case, as a wealthy Jewish man traveling in the Middle East, he might need to protect his identity from terrorists.
Right.
Because terrorists check your passport before kidnapping you. The far likelier explanation: this was a tool of espionage tradecraft or a way to travel under the radar for nefarious purposes. Its discovery added fuel to the Epstein was an intelligence asset theory. Epstein's 2019 arrest made international headlines. Finally, it seemed he would face a courtroom and his accusers would have their day. Epstein pleaded not guilty and assembled a pricey defense team again. But this time, judges weren't so accommodating. He was denied bail. The judge deemed him an extreme flight risk given his wealth, international connections, and that loaded safe of fake ID and cash. So, Epstein was locked up awaiting trial at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC, in Manhattan. It turns out, though, Epstein would never see trial. Because on August 10th, 2019, the unthinkable happened. Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell, officially by suicide, though that conclusion ignited a firestorm of conspiracy theories. The circumstances of Epstein's death were, frankly, bizarre and suspicious. Only a few weeks earlier, on July 23rd, Epstein had been found injured on his cell floor with marks around his neck, an apparent suicide attempt, or possibly an assault by a cellmate. Epstein claimed he was attacked, but prison officials treated it as a suicide try. Epstein was placed on suicide watch, but inexplicably, he was taken off suicide watch after just 6 days. He was then put alone in a cell in a high-security unit. On the night of August 9th, the 2 security cameras outside his cell supposedly malfunctioned, and the 2 guards on duty allegedly fell asleep, failing to do their checks. By early morning August 10th, Epstein was dead, hanging by a bedsheet. The medical examiner ruled it a straightforward suicide.
So this is gonna be a trigger warning. If one of the mods can put up a trigger warning for me, I'm gonna show some graphic photos here, okay?
By hanging. But pathologists and skeptics pointed out that Epstein sustained bone fractures in his neck, the hyoid bone, more consistent with strangulation than typical hanging. And how could such a high-profile inmate, probably the most notorious prisoner in the country at that moment, be left unsupervised with broken cameras? The situation reeked of either gross incompetence or a cover-up. Hashtags like #Epstein didn't kill himself trended worldwide. Even today, many, including members of Epstein's own legal team and millions of armchair detectives, believe Epstein was murdered, silenced to protect any number of powerful people. The federal investigation nominally continued after his death, but without a live defendant, the case was effectively over. In August 2019, a judge dismissed Epstein's indictment because you can't prosecute a dead man. The focus then shifted to his alleged co-conspirators, most prominently Ghislane Maxwell, who was arrested in 2020 and tried in 2021. We'll get to that next. But Epstein himself, the man at the center of it all, was gone. One can imagine the size of relief in certain corridors of power, and the frustration of victims who felt robbed of seeing him face justice, and robbed of the full truth coming out in a courtroom. In 2023, long after Epstein's death, the DOJ Inspector General and FBI officially investigated Epstein's death and reaffirmed it was a suicide. By July 2025, under pressure from skeptics, the DOJ even released some video footage showing Epstein in his cell area before his death to support the suicide finding. A newly revealed memo stated investigators found no evidence of murder and that the cameras did capture enough to confirm he acted alone. Yet to many, this feels like too little, too late. Epstein's death has become the Rosetta Stone of modern conspiracy theories, a shorthand for the powerful clean up their messes. Even though officials insist it wasn't foul play, the timing and anomalies are hard to simply accept. Suffice to say, Epstein's demise remains an open question in the public mind.
Epstein's 2019 arrest felt like a miracle. Finally, this creep in cuffs again. And his death felt like a punch to the gut. Honestly, when I heard Jeffrey Epstein found dead in jail, my first thought was, how convenient. Too convenient, if you ask me. This was the highest profile prisoner. You're telling me he manages to kill himself on watch with broken cameras and snoozing guards? The official story wants us to believe it's all just oopsie daisies. I'm sorry. I'm not that naive. Epstein had dirt on a lot of VIPs. In my gut, I feel someone wanted him silenced. Dead men tell no tales, right? And here we are, left with incomplete justice and endless questions. Epstein slipping from our grasp was a travesty, whether by his own hand or someone else's. It was a perversion of justice all over again. Either way, I put nothing past the powers that be. when their interests are at stake. Go ahead.
Well, there's a big long list with Hillary and
Mm,
mhm.
mhm.
But I'm just gonna say, in my own personal opinion, and you know this because I told you earlier, and it's just not because of what I'll let you hear, but I personally believe that one of the three-letter intelligence agencies faked this death, and I do
Oh, yeah.
believe that he is still alive, and they used him to get Ghislane Jizzy
Jizz.
Lane, Jizzy
Jizzy
Lane.
Lane.
Yeah, I think they used him to find out where she was because they're trying to get to other people like Mossad, like her father. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
honestly, he was worth more alive than deceased. So,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, the CIA and the FBI both have incredible ways of making someone look like somebody else for
Oh,
pictures and
yeah.
whatever
Oh,
have
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
And my personal opinion is, and if you look at Little St. James, that, okay, they've done all the stuff to the mansion and taken those things out. Well, Little St. James, they have got guards surrounding it. If you go on that island, people have tried to, they run them off. And I'm not kidding. Like, I will go on Google Earth and I will hunt something down in a minute. And in
Mhm.
2024, I believe it was, I looked down closely on it's Little St. James looking at all the things. And this is after the top of that blue and white looking thing on the corner of the island where they did some stuff underground, the
Mhm.
temple place. Okay. There's a
Yeah.
place like more toward the center of the island. And I'm not kidding. You know how he wore those Oxford shirts, the button up. He never wore the same shirt. Like, he kept new ones, fresh ones every day, and just put on a new one every day, like
Yeah.
Izod, basically, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, well, there was a pink Izod shirt, white haired man on the balcony, supposedly Google Earth, and it was like 2024, maybe the end of 2023. But you know how they put the stamp when they take the picture on Google Earth?
Yeah.
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 So, like, I was like, well, this wasn't before he was supposedly self unalived. This is after. And why are they still like guarding Little St. James? You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like
Yep.
nothing's being done with it. Why?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's
Yep.
just my
Yep. Yep.
opinion. That's my
Yep.
personal opinion.
Yep. I agree with you. I agree. Hey, flies on the coleslaw. I love her name.
Coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
The flies do get on the coleslaw. I
Yeah,
get
flies get on everything. Everything.
they do.
He's probably living in Australian outback somewhere. Yeah, for real.
I
For
think he's
real.
being protected, definitely being protected. Because they want to catch. Okay, they will give immunity and put people under witness protection if they can get more out of them.
Yeah, and it's just like what Sasha said. Like she was saying that with him being dead, like you can't charge him,
Right.
and the case would basically be closed,
Hmm.
you know?
But how did they get Jizzy Lane? Because
Well, because
sh-
they make sure they indicted her before he did what he did.
well, the thing is, though, she was on the run. Remember, after he supposedly unalived himself, she was on the run. They found her
Oh,
after
yeah, you're
that.
right, you're right. They
Yeah.
found her after.
And
Yep,
that's
you're
what I'm
right.
saying.
Yep.
I really do believe they used him to lure her and get her to a
Yeah,
place
like
where
a
they could
bait.
get her arrested.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy, man. It's
It's so
like,
messed up. It's just, and we'll
so does
never know.
everyone
They'll
so
never.
does what does everyone think of the Simpsons predictions? They have one for August that will be devastating to all Trump people. Oh
Oh, about him
no.
being unalive.
Alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched The Simpsons in such a long time,
I don't watch it
but
either, but I saw that because I saw him in the coffin or whatever, laying there.
oh, do they show how? Like I swear, it's like I
They
feel
did it
like
for Prince. They pre-predicted supposedly Prince, but
pre-predicted, or they have some type of intel or something, or they sending out some type of codes to get rid of these people because
or either all this
whew,
stuff is pre planned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then they
yeah.
put this stuff out there, and it's like pre-predictive programming so that people kind of call conspiracy theorists. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's a plan. Eh, It's
Well,
kind
I
of
hope
messed.
not, and I pray the blood of Jesus over Trump,
Amen.
and I pray that, because I mean, I feel like he was supposed to be gone that day in over here in PA,
I do too.
you know? And
I
it's just
believe
like
God saved him. I really believe that God turned his head at the exact right time.
yeah, yeah, that's why I said like he almost got his wig pushed back and
Yep. And I think that was a
it was like
sharpshooter. I think that boy was a complete patsy, rouge, whatever you want to call it.
mm,
I personally believe that there was a sharpshooter in that
there
water
was someone
tower.
else there. Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Kinda like
Yep.
JFK. You know, they
Yeah.
tried to blame it on that man all the way down the street and around the corner. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And now
No.
the truth finally came out.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep,
this will
yep, yep, yep.
eventually come out later, probably after he's well gone, but,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know.
hope he
Well, he's the older man. I'm talking
he
about, like,
passes
after,
away.
you know.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying.
Nor
I hope
I
he
hope he
passes
passes
away
away
at old
naturally
age.
and yeah, a
After his
very old age.
term.
Yes.
For real.
Yes, please, Lord. We don't
Like in his
need
sleep or something because
right.
man,
Right now, with everything we've got going on in America, we do not need our president to be gone right now. Mm-mm.
yes. Yes. I
And I'm not
agree.
saying I don't like JD because I do, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying we don't need that interruption right now with
Yeah.
everything going on. We just don't.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep.
Whether you
We
like
could
him or
do a
not,
live
pray
on
for him.
JFK Files. Yeah, exactly. Prayer is pretty good. Yeah, I got to deep dive into that too, J Marie. But that's definitely a good topic.
You know what it reminds me of with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? It reminds me of the JFK, but I like JFK. I didn't like Clinton, but Marilyn Monroe, and the CIA connection with them too. And then
Mm-hmm.
you got Lewinsky, with Clinton. And I don't know. I feel like there's some kind of something going on there with
Yeah. I mean,
intelligence, is what I'm saying.
there's a lot of setup because I maybe she was put there so
Hmm.
that they could be able to get
Correct.
what they want in order to
Because they knew he
blackmail
was
him.
a horn dog.
Yeah,
They knew all they had to do was wave that
exactly.
pea in front of him, and he'd be going for
Exactly, exactly.
it.
Rocket Queen says, "If Biden can make it to 120 years of age,
Exactly.
I'm sure Trump will be fine."
If Nancy Pelosi can make it to 195,
Tell
and
no
Trump
lies
can
there,
make it through
girl.
these
You
a
are
couple of
so
years.
for real, man. Biden, man. Ooh, child. That's another story.
There's another whole story
Exactly.
and a half.
For real.
With Epstein dead, attention turned to his longtime companion and chief enabler, Ghislane Maxwell. For a time after Epstein's 2019 death, Maxwell went into hiding, moving to safe houses, communicating only through her lawyers, and staying out of the public eye. But the FBI tracked her down in July 2020, arresting her at a secluded New Hampshire estate. Maxwell was charged with multiple federal counts: conspiracy to entice minors, trafficking, and perjury for lying under oath in depositions. Essentially, prosecutors accused her of being the architect of Epstein's trafficking ring, recruiting and grooming the victims for Epstein, and sometimes participating in the abuse herself. Maxwell pleaded not guilty and fought the charges, but after a high-profile trial in late 2021, a New York jury found her guilty on 5 felony counts, including trafficking of a minor and conspiracy. In June 2022, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison, which she is now serving. The Maxwell trial was significant. Finally, one of the perpetrators faced justice, but it also felt oddly limited. The trial focused on 4 accusers, now grown women, who testified to Maxwell's role in abusing them in the 1990s. The prosecution, perhaps strategically, did not call some other high-profile victims like Virginia Giuffre to testify, keeping a tight scope on Maxwell herself. This meant the trial did not dig deeply into the wider circle of Epstein's associates or clients. The elephant in the courtroom was the question: trafficking to whom? Maxwell was convicted of trafficking underage girls, but the indictment and evidence tiptoed around naming the powerful men who received those trafficked girls. The client list, if you will, was not introduced in court. And thus, to this day, not even one of the men who partook in Epstein's abuse, aside from Epstein himself, has been charged or publicly named by authorities. This glaring omission has fueled enormous public frustration. As one victim put it, Maxwell is in jail for trafficking, but the traffic to who? Ghosts. It's a bitter irony. The only two people held accountable in the Epstein saga are Epstein, sort of, before he died, and Maxwell. But logic dictates they weren't molesting these girls by themselves exclusively. Numerous rich and powerful men were allegedly involved as abusers. Even Bill Gates' name came up posthumously, as it emerged Epstein had attempted to blackmail Gates over an affair with a Russian bridge player, according to Wall Street Journal reporting. Again, Gates denies any Epstein-related impropriety, saying he only met for philanthropy. So, there is a list of sorts, Epstein's little black book of contacts and the flight logs, which include many celebrities and politicians, but no official action has been taken on that front. The U.S. Justice Department under both the Trump and Biden administrations has shown no appetite to go after Epstein's powerful friends. In Maxwell's case, prosecutors explicitly said during plea negotiations that we do not intend to bring further charges against others. This is why the public clamors for the mythical Epstein client list. People believe that somewhere in those FBI files or sealed court documents, there's a list of all the men who slept with Epstein's underage victims. The truth may be messier than a simple list, but certainly flight logs and witness statements give clues. We know, for instance, that Prince Andrew was one. Giuffre's case made that clear. We know Brunel and other recruiters were involved. We strongly suspect others from business and foreign leadership circles. For a while after Maxwell's conviction, it seemed there might be momentum to expose more names. The judge ordered many previously sealed documents in a civil case to be released, which they have been trickling out, revealing correspondence of Epstein with people like Clinton and others, but no new criminal charges. The final batch of those sealed names, often called the Maxwell/Epstein documents, was released in 2023, but it mostly contained familiar names or allegations that were already known, nothing like a smoking gun of new indictments. And so, Maxwell went to prison, but the broader Epstein network remains unindicted. Maxwell, now in her 60s, might spend effectively the rest of her life in prison. She has expressed zero remorse, maintaining her innocence in public statements and bizarrely lamenting that Epstein died on her watch. She even gave a jailhouse interview in 2023 speculating that the famous photo of Prince Andrew with Virginia Giuffre might be fake. The audacity, that photo has been forensically examined and is real. But Maxwell's still protecting certain pals, it seems. For the victims, Maxwell's conviction was a measure of justice, but an incomplete one. Many of Epstein's survivors, like Maria Farmer and Sarah Ransom, voiced that Maxwell behind bars is good. But what about the others? Sarah Ransom, who tried to escape Epstein's island and later wrote a memoir, stated, "There were many, many people involved. They need to be held accountable too." The Epstein case, in essence, feels unresolved. There's a sense that some big names got away. And that brings us to the recent developments and why this story is back in the headlines in 2025. Here's where we arrive at the current moment. And
So, can we talk about the in-your-face absurdity here? Ghislane Maxwell is in prison for trafficking minors, but officially to nobody. It's like convicting a drug dealer without addressing who bought the drug or who sold the drug. It's insulting to our intelligence. We know there were powerful clients. The girls themselves have names under oath, but the feds apparently think the public doesn't need to know. If there's no evidence of a bigger network, then why is Maxwell in jail? Why did Epstein plead to procuring minors? Who were these minors for? The logic gap is huge. The fact that no one client has been prosecuted screams cover up. I trust Trump and his team more than most in DC, but even under Trump's DOJ, aside from Epstein and Maxwell, no one else got nailed. And under Biden's DOJ, forget it. They're actively saying no client list exists. Oh, really? Then Pam Bondi must have been hallucinating when she said she had one on her desk. The whole thing makes me furious. It's like the justice system is protecting the predators at the top. And I want to say hello to my three sons. How are you, darling? Thanks for coming
Hey.
in. Yes. So yeah, it's like it's nothing. I mean, you can't call it anything else, but a cover up.
No. And let's be honest, our government has not been above using girls or women as honeypots in the
Mhm.
past. And I think that's why so many people are protected. Excuse me, because I think our government has something to do with this.
Yep.
And I believe that's why, like we said, Epstein is somewhere just sunning, bathing in the nude, probably on a beach
Yeah.
somewhere. And they've protected him because he actually worked for them, just like Hugh Hefner worked for them. And the
Mhm.
Playboy bunnies were nothing more than what these girls were, but they're of age. Most of them have been of age. And you know what I'm saying, though? So what I'm trying to say is that if the government themselves are setting up these honeypot things to get bigger fish to get intel on to hold against, you know, prime ministers, kings of other countries. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We're not
Yeah.
talking about just the United States. We're talking worldwide here. And
Exactly.
this is intel on some very big, powerful people. So even the United States has blackmail on other people that they can control. I
Yep.
mean, this goes so
And
much
at
higher
the
than
end,
we can even
yeah,
comprehend.
and at the end, that's what it's about, the
Yeah.
control.
Yep.
Yep. You're right.
And that's why these people won't be named, because I'll tell you, there are probably so many people that it would completely shake apart Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood and Hollywood.
Yeah,
But
in Hollywood.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yay, Gail has a new air conditioner in her window.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Yay! Just in
Finally, right?
time. Oh, gosh, it's so hot.
I know.
I'm glad, Gail. I'm so glad that you got that.
Hey,
Thank you, Jesus.
Ragnar. Thanks for coming in. How are you?
It's a mix of hope and frustration. When President Trump left office in January 2021, the Epstein case was in limbo after Maxwell's conviction. But President Trump had hinted that if reelected in 2024, he'd push to unveil more Epstein files. Well, hypothetically, let's say by 2025 we have a new administration, and given our current date, July 2025, it appears we do, and that Pam Bondi became U.S. Attorney General, interestingly. Many of Trump's supporters expected a full dump of secrets, the client list, the flight logs, everything. In early 2025, Attorney General Pamela Pam Bondi did declassify and release some Epstein documents, a gesture to transparency. Bondi, speaking on Fox News in February 2025, caused a stir when she suggested the list was literally sitting on her desk awaiting review. Fox's John Roberts had asked if DOJ would release the list of clients, and Bondi quipped, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." That comment set off a firestorm. MAGA world, and honestly almost everyone interested in the case, took it to mean, there is a client list and Bondi has it. People were eager. Finally, names. Fast forward to July 2025. At a White House press briefing, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was grilled by Fox's Peter Doocy about Bondi's remark. Leavitt tried to downplay it, saying Bondi's desk comment was taken out of context, that Bondi meant all the Epstein case paperwork was on her desk, not a specific list. Ducey literally read Bondi's quote back to her. "It's sitting on my desk right now," and pressed, "So, what happened to the Epstein client list?" In response, Leavitt essentially said, the DOJ and FBI concluded there was no separate client list document, no evidence Epstein successfully blackmailed anyone, and that Epstein indeed killed himself. She pointed to a newly revealed two-page DOJ memo, apparently first reported by Axios, summarizing the investigation's conclusions. No client list, no blackmail ring, no murder. Furthermore, no further charges will be brought. The case is closed with Maxwell. This was essentially the government saying, nothing to see here beyond what we've done. That answer did not satisfy many onlookers. In fact, it enraged parts of Trump's base. They felt betrayed. Bondi's tease raised expectations, only for the official word to be that the list was a fantasy. Right-wing activists started demanding Bondi's resignation for hyping a fake list. Online, conspiracy forums exploded, accusing Bondi and the Trump administration of caving to the deep state or even covering for elites. This was not helped by the memo's other purpose, to shut down Epstein didn't kill himself theories. The DOJ memo claimed to have reviewed surveillance video that conclusively showed Epstein's suicide. To true believers, that just sounded like the feds doubling down on a cover-up. In the memo's wake, Elon Musk, who by mid-2025 had broken notably with Trump, fanned flames by insinuating on social media that Trump himself might be in the Epstein files, which is why they haven't been made public. For the record, there's zero evidence Trump's in any criminal file, and Musk provided none. It seemed more like personal vendetta after some falling out. But Musk's speculation tapped into a fear. Perhaps even the Trump team, now back in power, was suppressing the full truth because it implicates too many powerful people across the spectrum. Let's parse this calmly. Does an Epstein client list exist? Not as a neat, single piece of paper with all the names, likely not. But there are definitely lists we do have. The flight logs from Epstein's planes, which list hundreds of trips and passengers, Epstein's address book, a Rolodex with over 1,000 contacts, and countless pages of testimony naming names. Bondi's phrasing may have been sloppy, but if she had all the paperwork, she effectively had the information that could be considered a client list. The frustration is that the DOJ apparently doesn't consider it actionable. They're basically saying, we looked and we found no prosecutable evidence that Epstein's friends committed crimes. To many of us, that is hard to swallow. For example, those flight logs have Bill Clinton on 26 flights, Prince Andrew on multiple, and others.
Hey, Ragnar, it's not Sexy Red. Her name is Sasha, and that is my AI assistant. She narrates a lot of things that I want to say, okay? And then I comment on the things that she says, all right? So she's not Beyonce. She's not Sexy Red. Her name is Sasha. Thank you very much.
Like billionaire Glenn Dubin, MIT scientist Marvin Minsky. Giuffre alleged she was told to have sex with Minsky. He died in 2019, etc. Are they seriously saying none of those should even be questioned? It appears so. Also, as mentioned, the FBI reportedly had 20-plus bins of evidence seized from Epstein's NYC mansion, DVDs, hard drives labeled with initials, etc. Where did all that go? The feds never disclosed it publicly. Were there tapes Epstein used as blackmail? The DOJ now says no.
My AI assistant was named after one of my sidearms. Okay, so pull back, homie, pull back.
No evidence of blackmail. Perhaps they mean Epstein never actually used the material to extort money, so technically no blackmail crime was committed. But that doesn't mean he didn't have dirt on people. See how they parse words? The press secretary Levitt tried to pivot when pressed, saying the DOJ is committed to putting bad people behind bars, and we should focus on rising crime generally. That felt like a brush off. Ducey wasn't having it, but ultimately, she referred him back to DOJ, which had basically closed the door. After the Bondi, it's on my desk fiasco, Bondi herself clarified on TV a month later that what was turned over were a couple hundred pages of documents with names of victims, etc., but not a smoking gun list. That didn't calm the MAGA world. In fact, some of Trump's supporters turned on Bondi, accusing her of hyping things that didn't materialize. Calls for her firing even trended under the hashtag #FireBondi. And so here we are. It's mid-2025. Ghislane Maxwell sits in federal prison, FCI Tallahassee in Florida, serving 20 years, notably the only person convicted for a sex trafficking conspiracy involving many, many people. Epstein is dead. Jean-Luc Brunel, Epstein's Paris-based procurer, committed suicide in a French jail in 2022 while awaiting his own trial, a disturbingly similar fate to Epstein's. In February 2022, another associate, Stephen Hoffenberg, the Ponzi schemer who mentored Epstein, died under odd circumstances in Connecticut. Not a homicide, but it added to the body count of Epstein-related figures. And just a few months ago, Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's bravest and most outspoken victims, tragically died by suicide at age 41. She was found April 25th, 2025 at her home in Australia, leaving behind a husband and children. Her family and lawyers initially expressed shock and even doubt that it was truly suicide. Her father publicly said he didn't believe she would have done it, hinting at foul play. However, her attorney later clarified that her remarks were misinterpreted and that she did not believe Virginia's death was suspicious. Still, it's an eerie pattern. So many key individuals in this case have ended up dead: Epstein, Brunel, now Giuffre. Whether by their own hand or not, it's painfully convenient for those who might prefer the full truth never come out. May Virginia Giuffre rest in peace. She fought hard for justice, and it's heartbreaking that she's gone. The remaining Epstein victims and advocates continue to demand transparency. They want the names of every powerful person who participated in the abuse, who enabled it, or who turned a blind eye to be made public and held accountable. They deserve that. We deserve that, to finally shine light in those dark corners. Yet the official stance is effectively, case closed. Nothing more to see. That makes many of us extremely uneasy. It feels like unfinished business, or worse, a deliberate cover-up to protect the rich and powerful.
So here we stand, folks. Epstein's dead. Maxwell's in jail. Brunel, dead. Virginia Giuffre, the woman who bravely took on Princess and won, now dead under questionable circumstances. Are you kidding me? Every time a thread could unravel the large tapestry of this scandal, that thread gets snipped. Convenient, quote unquote, suicides left and right. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but if it begs like a grifter and cries like a grifter, then what do you think it is? A grifter, right?
A grifter.
A grifter. And we all know a few grifters. Something is rotten here. And then we have the government, even our people, the ones we trusted to drain the swamp, telling us no client list, move along. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. My loyalty to Trump is strong. I believe he generally finds these crimes disgusting and wanted them exposed. But I also know he generally I'm sorry. But I also know even even a Trump administration isn't bulletproof. And I'm sorry, I'm reading from my script. Are there still deep state operators in the DOJ shielding their buddies? Would it shock me? Not at all. It's known that Epstein had ties to intelligence. A Custer basically admitted he was told Epstein belonged to the CIA or something. Of course, the agencies don't want their dirty laundry aired, so maybe they pressured to keep lids on certain names. I don't know. What I do know is we saw the photos, we saw the flight logs, we heard victims say, I was trafficked to X person. Those powerful men have faced zero consequences. Instead, they got to attend fancy conferences, make Netflix documentaries, or run the office like nothing happened. It's infuriating. If the DOJ thinks they can tell us to forget it, they've got another thing coming. Why did Pam Bondi even mention a list if she wasn't prepared to follow through? To me, that's suspicious in itself. Like maybe she wanted to do it, but got muzzled. And Caroline Levitt spinning the story, girl, I like you, but I can read between the lines. The bottom line, this ain't over. Not for me, not for the victims, not for anyone who cares about justice. Epstein is the tip of a nasty iceberg. Ew. We need those client names out. We need to know who was on those planes to that island doing God knows what to underage girls. We need to know which politicians, which CEOs, which foreign dignitaries were part of this evil. Why? Because otherwise, they're still out there possibly still preying on the vulnerable. And to those big names who might have breathed a sigh of relief when Epstein died, don't get too comfortable. We're not letting this go. I'm looking at you, Hillary Clinton. All
Mhm.
those personal emails you deleted, yeah, I bet we all have a clearer idea now why you were so desperate to bleach bit that server. To the FBI or DOJ honchos who think this file is closed, think again. We, the public, we, the people, are owed the truth. The victims are owed the truth and full justice. Until every last abuser in Epstein's orbit is unmasked, we're going to keep digging. You know I will. Epstein once bragged that his shadow world was too powerful to fail. Well, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we're going to shine a light on every corner of this horrific saga, no matter how long it takes or who it implicates. You can count on it. Period. Dude.
Amen. And the Bible says, have nothing to do with the fruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And that's what Diamond is
Exactly.
doing right here. And that's what I'm up here with her trying to do. Because the funny thing is, when she talked about doing this, I had already said I'm going to do a live about Epstein. I swear that is the craziest thing. When you put
Wow.
that there today, I was like, no, that had to
Yeah,
be
and
God. That
let
was
me tell you
God.
the forces were working against me, girl, because like yesterday, my internet was going in and out. Like while I'm trying to type in the script, because what I
Mhm,
do is I'll when I research everything, I'm jotting stuff down, I'm typing stuff, and
mhm,
then I go over and I type in the script for Sasha, you know?
mhm,
And like the uploading, it was saying that there's certain words that I couldn't use, and I was like, "What?" Like I've
mhm.
done use so many other words. Like, why can't I use this one word? You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
So I had to like switch it up and all this other stuff. And she was getting on my nerves too. Like she was pronouncing stuff all wrong. I was like, "Where the heck did you get that
Okay,
from?"
well,
So
we rebuke that enemy in the name of Jesus, and we
yes,
thank you that this
amen.
came through tonight. And
Yes.
when I was trying to come up, it kind of threw me off, and my computer went black, like
Yes, I'm
completely
telling you,
black.
it's the evil forces, girl. But
Y'all want this exposed?
let me play this video for Lone Star. Thank you, my love. Boo, look at you dropping coins. Yes, thank you, boo. I'll see you.
Gold star.
It's all good. It's all good.
I love that shaky,
Oh my
shaky,
goodness,
shake.
Lord, she has her boobs is as big as they're gonna get for an AI, homie. You need to go
Ah,
somewhere else for all that.
right. You got to
She
pay
ain't
for
gonna
stuff
have
like
bigger
that,
boobs than me.
right?
For
Oh
real.
gosh.
Yep,
Yeah,
they
this
have
is some good
accurate.
stuff tonight that you've brought out and talked about. And that Virginia Dufresne, she actually had to go to the hospital about 2 months before she passed away. And supposedly I think she got hit by something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she got into an accident,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, so I think that was an attempt at that time,
Mhm.
and then it didn't work, and that's why she came out and said, "I want to let everyone know I am not the word, like Suey, you know.
Yeah,
And then I'm gonna go to a recital, you know what I'm saying? But put those things
yeah,
together. She is
yeah,
not going to feel like unaliving herself, basically. She made sure she let people know that, just like Isaac Cappy did the same thing. And look what happened.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Exactly, exactly. Wait
And
a
I
minute.
do believe that the rest of the people were unalived. I don't believe
Mhm,
they did it to themselves. Maybe a one or two because they were afraid of getting outed. Maybe I don't know, but not victims, and certainly not people that were just involved in
mhm,
business kind of ways. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I feel like that people were silencing them because if there's no witnesses, You know, if they get
Mhm.
rid of those people that kind of know the most, then there can't be really any more like what they're doing with the DOJ. There's nothing to
Exactly.
see here, folks. Look another
Yep.
way. Let's
Yep.
pay
Look,
attention to
look
this
somewhere
over
else.
here
Yep. Mhm.
because there's nothing here.
Yeah. And let me say thank you to Sarah. Sarah, I'm sorry. I totally missed it.
Oh,
She said I'm
sorry.
late. Sorry. Here's my fine. And here's the song. Boo. Look at you dropping coins. Yes. Thank you, Boo. I see you. Boo. Look at you. Whoops. I pressed it twice.
Give her double.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And a lot of people like they question it and they're like, "Oh, this big beautiful bill was to cover that up and all that other stuff." And
Mm-mm.
but you know what? Going back to it, I feel like how can I put this out there? Okay, so like I said in the beginning, right? We we need we need intel, like we need informants, okay? And going back to, like, Israel and Netanyahu, I can finally pronounce his name because 'cause I've done said it so many times. Um, he I feel like his intel is top notch, okay? Because you know for a fact that there's someone undercover, working with him from,
Of
like
course.
being in Iran or, like, Hamas and all that other stuff
Yeah, from
because
everywhere.
that whole the thing that he did with the ship, like, for him to know what what cargo was on that ship, for him to know when to go on that ship and switch out all the pagers and the walkie-talkies, okay? Like,
That's some extreme
we need people
intelligence.
like yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and you know that, even though it hasn't been said, but you know for a fact that the US was involved in that.
of course.
Okay? Because how is it that the US is the only country that that like made the bunker what do you call it? Those bunker busters. All right? And now Netanyahu's talking about he wants to pay whatever top dollar in order to be able to build them or to have them over there in Israel and all this other stuff. Like no. No.
Right.
Okay? Like I'm cool with the US having the only bombers,
Mm,
okay? But going back to what I was saying, like, informants are very important,
they
all
are.
right? Because they give you intel, especially if there's gonna be like if there's like a terror plot
Mhm.
or like these sleeper cells and stuff, like
We
that
have to
it's very
know.
important.
Yeah.
But for you to hire, okay, to hire a monster, all right, the devil in disguise himself,
Mhm.
okay, to bait all these people, like then you're just as bad as he is,
Right.
you know? And that's
Yep.
what makes me sick to my stomach. It really does.
Yeah,
Hey
and that
Marie. Thank you, mamas. Let me
oh,
play the video for you. Where's she at? Boo. Look at you dropping coins. Yes. Thank you, Boo. I see you.
I love her.
She is funny.
Yeah,
But
she
yeah,
but
and it's just
you're right.
like
I mean,
it's
we do not want I mean, because of the things that go on between Israel and like Iran or, other areas around there in the Middle East,
mhm.
it's really not good for any of them to have certain weapons, to be
Yep,
honest with you, because
yep.
we don't want to start a true, complete 100% nuclear war.
Nuclear.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? That's
Yep.
because nobody's going to survive that. Nobody,
Nope.
except for the people who can afford to go underground,
And the
maybe
bunkers.
50
Exactly.
miles underground that they've got
Yeah.
set up,
And it's so crazy because Netanyahu, he knows that that's what the rich and the elite already
They
have
have. Yeah, they
built.
already have that.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, so you guys, the US, you send me these bombers, all right? So if we do have a nuclear war, I'm gonna go hide for a little bit, and then, I'll have the these bombers or whatever to take out anybody else, but it's just like, come on, you know that if you come out from under those bunkers,
What's
from
left?
being
Who's
in
going to
those
be here
bunkers,
to build all
nobody's
this stuff?
exactly,
Right.
everybody's gonna be gone. So it's
Except for
I don't
Elon
know.
Musk and his robots. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
that's why they're building all those robots, because they're planning on trying to get rid of all of us little
Yep. And
bugs.
Elon's
That's how they
another
look at
another
us.
one. Elon's another one. Like and the comment that I'm about to say is not for everyone. Okay, like I said before, I used to be a Democrat for a very long time. Okay, and I I I was able to open my eyes to certain things, and it's because like I had something telling me like, yo, that's not right. Research that. And then when you're not able to like go out to the library or whatever, you're gonna look it up online, you know? And then what I started doing was watching like live press conferences,
Hmm.
when it comes to like the White House and even when Biden was in office.
Hmm.
And I saw that a lot of things, you know, it wasn't adding up.
I was
And
like, this
then
math don't math.
yeah, it
No.
was exactly, it wasn't mathing,
Right.
and it's just like they were just blatantly lying in our face, and it pissed me off.
Mm.
So that's why I went to like independent, and then I honestly these past few months is just I've just leaned
More right.
right over to the right,
Right. More
and
to the right.
now that this is happening, it's just like it's true what people say. You have the corruption in both
Hmm.
on both sides.
You do.
You know,
Believe me, it is on both sides. And I will say, like, you know, I mean, I always have voted either Republican or independent. I've voted
Mhm.
independent one time, but I feel like that throws your vote away because they never win. So you have to kind of pick between Democrat or Republican. And a
Yeah,
lot of times we get the choice of Coke or Pepsi. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
uh-huh,
It's like, okay, you might have a little different flavor, but it's going to be the same end result. I did feel Trump was a little bit different, you know, when he came and,
I agree.
ran against Hillary.
Mhm.
There's no way in hell I could let Hillary Clinton win. And I would have almost
Yeah,
voted for anything other than
yeah,
her,
yeah. A
honestly.
Muppet. I mean, honestly,
Right.
Biden was a Muppet,
I
but
mean,
like
I would
for
have voted
real.
for Ozzy Osbourne in the condition he is in right now, the Prince of Darkness and Mia Christian over Hillary
I hear
Clinton.
you.
You know what
I
I mean?
hear.
But yeah, I think that this is so deep and goes so widespread, like to other countries, that Epstein is just like you said, or like your assistant said, just a little tip of
Yeah, tip
a
of that nasty
that a
iceberg.
huge,
Dirty,
nasty
dirty old man.
iceberg that we
Yeah,
do not want to see. The
yeah,
junk that's hanging
and
up underneath that.
yep. So part two is I'm gonna be going through because the DOJ they released a memo. And it was short and sweet and whatever, but I actually have the full um PDF file on, their findings on like the suicide, the jail, the cameras,
Oh
um
yeah,
the
all the
guards, all that stuff.
malfunctions and
Yes, I'll
everything,
have
just
that, and
not,
that'll be part two.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard, but everyone was talking about that missing minute. Like there's a missing minute and Pat Bondi was questioned about it. And let me tell you, I do my research, right?
You do.
And I'm gonna show you I'm gonna show you real quick that missing minute. Pull up real quick.
Well, a whole missing minute. I mean, think what
The
can happen
whole
in a
miss
whole missing minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you right now.
What? What the frick? You had me for a minute. I was going, what in the hell? That bitch.
Yeah, listen. You see, But it's so crazy. Yeah, that I have to put that out there. Disclaimer:
That,
it was a joke. That's all
that's
AI. Okay.
funny. That's funny.
Um, but it's like, bro,
But
like,
like, it
come
is not
on.
above.
And then not only that, but they're over here showing the freaking camera of these doors that it wasn't even Epstein's door.
Right.
Okay, like, oh, I don't get it. But like I said, I'm gonna break it down and all this other stuff. Sarah,
As Sarah said, damn,
Sarah
got
said,
me.
"Damn, you got
She had me too.
I had
I was
to
like,
I
what
had
the
to
heck?
throw I had to throw something funny in there just to make y'all laugh because this is some
Oh,
serious sick stuff. But like, come on, freaking Hillary, you,
oh gosh. I call her Killary. I have
yeah,
always.
Hillary. Yep,
And
I call
there
her.
is a body count that is so long. Just starting with
Yeah.
Vince Foster. I don't even know if it starts with him, but it's just like if you look into it, just really like take your eyes and just say, you know what? I'm not going to go in with any preconceived notions. And I'm just going to look and see the body count that is associated with the Clintons and when it
Oh,
started
whew,
and what reasons. It's
yep,
really scary
yep.
if you look into it.
All right, Mrs. T, I'm gonna check it out on Discord, right? Yeah, I'll check it out and I'll look at it.
What is it?
Girl, she says she sent me something interesting.
Oh, okay.
So I have Discord on my other phone, so
Oh,
but yeah.
also, you
Mm.
know who David Geffen is, right?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, David Geffen, he owns Interscope Records and like Capitol, and I'm trying to think. There's several other and some like movie stuff, but it's mostly music. But he has this huge yacht. It's called the Rising Sun, and I've got a picture. I'll send it to you if you want me to. You can use it next time. But it
Mm,
shows um Epstein on the boat with Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey, Faith Hill, and her husband, Tim McGraw. Is that his name? The country
mm,
singer.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think who all's in there, but
So
they're all in the
on whose
picture
boat?
on David Geffen's boat, who is the owner of like
Oh.
Interscope and Capitol and all,
Mhm.
and we know about these record companies and you know, because
Yeah.
the Diddy stuff even comes from all that, even.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like how all this comes together, you just can't believe the connections. Oh, Bruce Springsteen was also on that boat.
Oh.
I'm just like, y'all, this is
Yo,
crazy.
Bruce Springsteen, let me tell you something. Like, there's only one song that I religiously play,
Born in the
and it's just,
USA, or
yeah, Born in the USA.
yeah,
Like, my girls even rock out to it, but it's just like, for me to know that, you know, he sings this song so passionately,
and he hates
but
America,
he hates
basically.
America. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like, money, I swear, money does some serious things to people.
It
It's
does.
ridiculous.
Lone Star, yeah, I know about the Courtney Love thing. I already know about that. Yeah. Yeah, a man can't do himself away with a gun with the boot on and pull a trigger with his toe if he's got a boot on. I'm just gonna say that.
I'm telling you. I mean, at least make it look real. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck?
I mean,
J.
that
Marie put
stuff is
Courtney Love,
crazy.
bitch be gone.
Yes, you're right about that. It's witch be gone, witch be gone.
For real.
That is a
Lord.
nasty hoe. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, Diamondz calls him out for being a hoe. Remember?
That's right. That's right. Put you on blast for being a
That's
hoe.
right.
Let me play
Exactly.
let me play this again real quick. It's so funny.
That is funny. That is so funny. But you know what? It's scary too at the same time because,
It
you
is
know,
because this
okay,
AI can do
yeah.
everything.
Think about it. Like that you could not be involved in something at all and they could make something look like you were there doing something when you weren't.
Yes, girl,
I mean, it
yes.
could be used both ways. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
used for funny things or for, whatever. But really when you get down to it, it's scary because, they could say anything and make the people believe it.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you to whoever gifted my membership, listening in the bushes, dealing with a migraine. Good evening, everyone. Oh, Nikita, I hope you feel better, sweetie. Thanks
Yeah,
for listening
prayers.
and coming in. Prayers to you. But yeah, this picture right here is actually from the PDF,
Mhm.
and it's showing one of the cameras, and I'm just like, it how convenient. How convenient, that the guards fell asleep and
Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is just too much. Does I mean, it'd be
yeah,
different if it was just one thing, one camera out, or one guard fell asleep, but you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
When you
It's
got
too
all
many
the guards
things.
falling
Yeah.
asleep and none of the cameras,
Yeah.
it gives me the 9/11 vibes, like,
Mhm.
all of those cameras were down, and George Bush's brother worked for the security place that was doing the cameras in the Twin Towers. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and then
Yeah.
that picture
Yep.
found in that Manhattan apartment, along with the Bill Clinton picture, like I said, was Bush sitting on the floor with
Yeah, I
paper
need to I
planes
need to
with
see
the
that.
block.
What?
Yes.
I need to see
Yeah, it's
that. That is,
crazy.
I mean,
That just proves to me that, like, the people that this
deranged.
stuff is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yep.
And that basically, I personally, and I'm a Republican, I voted for Bush, but I personally believe that that was to finish off what Daddy started, the war that Daddy
Yeah.
started. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yep.
to take out, what was it? Saddam Hussein, was that who it was they were going after?
Yeah. Saddam
I think
Hussein.
so.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah. With the
basically,
quote unquote weapons of mass
mass
destruction.
destruction, correct. And that was done by our own people. Like, he was sitting in a classroom, and they came in there and told him, and he didn't even look surprised or anything. Like, I totally believe that man
Yeah, he
knew what
said that
was
he
gonna.
didn't yeah, he said that he didn't react because he didn't want the kids to get nervous and stuff, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
and I
I mean,
believed him at that time. I
no,
did. I really did
well, you
believe
have,
him.
but I did at the time, but now looking back on it, I'm just, and I know too much about the Bush family now, and I'm just like,
Mm,
they're so enmeshed with the Clintons also. Um,
yeah.
in fact, Bill Clinton called Barbara Bush mom. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, they were
wow,
really
look at that.
close. Yeah,
Mhm.
really close. So I don't know. I feel like that we've been bamboozled, we've been hoodwinked,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I
that,
agree.
but I think that they created the internet for their own purposes, but I think it's turned on them because the devil always overplays his hand. And now we can
Yeah.
find out things, that we couldn't
So
before.
supposedly this is yeah. Yep. Supposedly this is him. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's just like you can do so
The
much
CIA,
with
if you look it up, I mean, they,
Photoshop and
yeah.
AI and all this other stuff. It's just like,
They have real
dang.
masks that people can put on to actually look like that person, identical. Like, the CIA
Whew.
has that capability, you know.
Yeah.
And you can look it up on YouTube. It's there. I mean, the CIA,
Oh,
they
okay.
they show it, yeah,
Yeah.
and the FBI, they've got that capability, and they've had it for over 20 or 30 years. So, what kind of capability do you think they have now? If
Yeah.
they could do that long
Exactly.
ago, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
And I just listen, believe what still saying. Um, like, listen to what people say, but believe what you see. You know,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to listen to you and hear you out, but I'm going to believe what I see, you know.
Exactly.
And if there's
Exactly.
smoke, there's usually fire.
That's right. That is right. Yep.
And what do you
So
think? What's your just before we go, what's your personal opinion on, do you think that Epstein could still be alive, or do you really think they took him out?
I think I'm half and half,
Okay.
you know, and I mean it's leaning more towards, he is hiding somewhere. They had to hide him somewhere. Um because basically, if you say that he's dead, then that closes up any investigation on anyone else, including him.
Right. Right.
So it's just like, let's, quote unquote, get rid of him and just deal with the backlash from, oh, yeah, he
But
was,
once he's gone out of the way or brushed to the side, then we can move on.
yeah,
Basically, that's
exactly.
the
And
way
I
they
feel
felt.
like, but that's the thing, like, you know, it's we're not gonna leave it alone. We can't leave it alone.
No, and
Like
we the
it's
people
just,
do need to stand up, and we need
yeah,
to assimilate together,
yeah,
and come together.
yeah.
United
And
we
it's just
stand, and
like,
divided we fall. And
exactly. And it's not, at this point, it's not about left and right. And like I
no,
said,
it's
I
on
I
both
trust,
sides.
yeah, I trust Trump,
I
okay,
do
as
too.
not 100%, but my loyalty
I mean,
stands with
well,
him.
mine too. As
But
far as presidents go, I trust him more than I've trusted any other president. I'll say that.
yeah, yeah, I
And
agree.
listen, you know what? He might know, but who knows what he is facing? We don't know if somebody's threatened his family. If you put
And
this
that's what I
out,
was thinking too.
yeah, if you
Yep.
put this out, then, not just you, but your whole family will be wiped out.
Yeah. And that's what I was
And
thinking too. Hi, white widow mamas. Yeah, and I feel like, you know, um because they all have family, they're
right.
like, "Yo, if you keep pushing this and you don't, go this way with it,
And if you don't back
then,
off,
yeah, we have this, and we're gonna, and they know that it can happen because, like I said, look how close
how
Trump came to,
that was that I mean, that could have even been because of that. We don't know why that even happened. I mean,
yeah,
he could have remember, because he was promising to put this out before he even was elected, and then he went
yeah,
to but who knows, like somebody could have tried to take him out for that reason that day.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
don't know.
But he kind of, like, but he shocked me. He shocked me when he came out, and he basically, like, jumped in front of Bondi, and he was like, "Are we still," basically saying, "Are we still talking about this dude?"
But
Like, I'm
think
like,
about
"Yeah,
what the
we're still
passion
talking about him."
But
Like,
think
come
about with the
on.
passion that he was talking about, if his family has been possibly threatened, or
Yeah,
he has been threatened about his family, think about it. If somebody brings something like that, especially under the
it's
pressure
true.
he's under right now,
Yeah.
he might
Mhm.
really respond like barking back at somebody in that way, because
Yeah.
he's like, I don't even want to effing talk about
Yeah.
this because my family is in danger, you SOB.
Yeah.
He could be
Yeah.
thinking that, but he can't say that out loud.
Yeah,
We don't
it's true.
know. And I'm not
Yeah.
like just taking, because I am not like a crazy believe in like everything that anybody says, like Trump
Mhm.
included. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
think he's a
Mhm.
man. I think he has made mistakes. I think he has done things that maybe weren't morally right, especially with his first wife, with what he did with that skanky
Mhm.
hoe. You know what I'm
And and
saying?
and and at the end of the day, he's human,
He's human, and that's what
you
I was
know?
gonna say. But what president that has been elected, really, let's just be honest, that has been pure
A
as the
saint.
driven snow? I'm just being honest. I mean,
Yeah.
even JFK, he was
Actually,
screwing
yep.
Maryland,
Marilyn, yep. Yep.
exactly. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we don't elect people to the job of the presidency really by their life or their lifestyle
Mhm.
necessarily, but what they
Exactly. It's
stand
their
on, if it
it's their
agrees with
values.
our
Yeah.
values, yeah.
Yeah.
And with what he
And
stands
we
on, I
need
do
it.
agree. Yeah.
We needed someone in office to put Americans first.
Yes, we
All
did.
right? I
We
mean,
did.
we were drowning, you know?
And listen, God
And
used all kind of kings and leaders back in the day, back all through history that are not perfect, but that he still put them in their position of
yeah.
leadership. And he
Mhm.
does tell us to pray for our leaders that our life may go well with us.
Yeah.
And that's listen, I'll tell you, when Joe Biden was president, well, he wasn't even president, but when the last administration was in power, I prayed more then probably than I even do now. I'm just being honest. Like, we
Alright.
have to pray. Like, no matter what side you're on, you have to pray for our leaders.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's how I felt too. Because I was like, if it was Biden that was taking that bullet to the ear, I still would have been
Yes,
fine.
I would have too.
Because
That's
that's
our
that
president.
yeah,
I
like,
mean,
he represents us. He's,
America. Yeah.
And
And
it's just like
that's
people
one
don't get
reason,
that.
like, when they just I it kind of makes me upset, even though I'm not particularly a fond of Biden because for various reasons, like sniffing children and touching things that he shouldn't
Yeah.
touch.
I mean, he
But
definitely
but this man is so
flip
old
the
now,
children.
and there's something going on with him mentally, and we saw it, and there was a
Mhm.
constant decline, and they kept denying it and kept denying it and kept denying it until they basically selected somebody that they could also manipulate,
Mhm.
to go for whoever it was behind the scenes. I've got my ideas. I'm not going to say, but I got my ideas. But
I hear
I'm
you.
just going to say, that is abuse that they did to Biden. It is because
Yep.
that man did not know he was hardly in this world.
Yep.
And what they did
And
to him.
his wife made sure that
Oh, yeah. She was his
his
handler.
yeah, but she made sure that he was the actual one that signed there's well his son's pardon
Oh,
papers.
of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And they had the
We,
automatic
we ain't
pin.
doing no
Yeah.
auto pen on this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, and somebody had to do it. So all she had to do was put that and look at his, signature and just do it, scratch it out.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, people get mad about some of the people that Trump has pardoned, but look at it. He's pardoned a lot of people like what was her name? Williams. That lady who got in trouble in California and she was 80 years old. You know what I'm talking about? Is her name
It has to do
Sarah
like
or
with the money, the
it was
tax money.
no, it was
Oh.
for she was for coke. It was a little bit of cocaine, but this
Oh.
woman was like really young, and it was not a very huge amount. But she is like 80 years old now. Um, it's a black lady, and she is like 80, but she actually works for the Trump administration over the prison. She's like some kind of czar with the prisons.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
what's her name?
Yes.
I can't think. It's like Sarah
She's
Williams or something
yeah,
like
I know
that.
who you're talking about. She's actually he put her in charge of of finding people to pardon.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
like
The
she said,
pardon
she goes,
czar.
"Where
Mhm.
else but America, um, could, go from a prison cell," you know what I'm saying, of life sentence
Mhm.
almost, to the White
To the
House, to
White House.
Pennsylvania Avenue, you know?
Exactly. Mhm.
And, I think she's the best person for that job.
Yeah. Yeah.
She sure
Yeah.
is.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean,
So,
who else let her out? Nobody.
yep. Yep, they let her rock. That's what it was.
Yep, they did.
But, yeah, so White Widow Mama, she is definitely working on her registry, and as
Yeah.
soon as she's done with that, we are going to plan the virtual baby shower, so we could put that,
Yay!
that registry out there as well,
She hadn't put it
and I
out
can't
yet,
wait
has
for
she?
that. No, no, she's
Okay.
gonna send it to me because I wanna do the live on it.
Yeah.
So, as soon as she's done with that, we can, come up with something, and we'll do the virtual
But
baby shower.
you'll put her link out so we'll know where to go, right? To, like,
Yeah,
get
well,
stuff. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So, the virtual baby shower is I'm going to, well, I don't even know, maybe it's like I'll call it, like, the pre-baby shower because, I want to talk to people and tell them to, like, click on the the link to do the registry so that they know how to do it, and
Mhm.
then perhaps when she's close to, like, giving birth or whatever, then we can actually do the baby shower once she's received her gifts and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
and
I
then
don't know
she
how
can
she wants to
share
she could
and
take
show it or
pictures.
something. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
she could
fun,
take
though.
pictures.
Yeah.
She could take pictures and send them to me, and I can put them, like, in a carousel or, like, a slide and stuff, and,
That would be so
I'll throw
fun.
Sasha up there jumping
Yeah.
for joy, doing something, I don't know.
Sasha will be doing the baby dance.
Yep,
You can make
exactly.
Sasha pregnant and do the,
Oh,
what's
oh,
that
Lord.
song? "Oh, baby mama, you don't
Oh,
put
yeah,
that
the baby
baby
mama
mama."
song, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be
Yep.
funny.
That is
Oh,
funny.
we can't wait for that little baby.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, and then we can have, like, a little game of, like, name the baby or something like that. Yeah, I
Oh,
have
yeah, like baby shower game
so many
things,
ideas.
like
Yeah.
that. That's fun. That'll be fun.
Yes. she can take the pictures of everything that she receives and stuff. Woohoo! It's gonna be
Yay!
fun.
That is gonna be
There was
fun.
one thing I wanted to highlight. Where did it go? Oh, Sarah. Did somebody say
Oh,
cocaine?
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. I meant Coca-Cola.
Cocaine. Sarah. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
That is funny.
I
Sarah,
don't mean.
you okay
I don't.
there? You
I don't want to get you
Forced
in
and
trouble.
Frost, and she said, "Damn it first." Lord,
Oh, that's
I
funny.
love you all. You guys always make my freaking jaw hurt at the end of the night. So much
Yeah,
laughter,
I laugh so much. I do. And even though this was a
and it's
very
good.
tough
Yeah.
topic, it's still
Mhm.
good that we can add some humor into it because it's so
Oh yeah.
heavy. We couldn't handle it if we didn't have some fun in
Exactly.
there with it.
Exactly.
And we're
Exactly.
not making
So,
like
and that's one
light
thing
of
that I
anything.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I can't do. Like for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, when it's
Like
too heavy, you have
yeah,
to kind of break
way
it
too
up a
heavy.
little. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
I love you so much and I thank you for letting me up here with you.
I love
And
you too, and thank you. It's always a pleasure having you up here with me.
it's always a pleasure to be up here with you.
Woohoo!
Yeah. But anyway, I love you and I love you guys out there. I'm going to drop down and let Diamondz finish her show up. And I love you and see you
Okay.
next time.
All right, darling. Thank you so much. God bless you.
You too. Love you.
Later. Why does my circle get so big? What the heck? All right, y'all. So, um, what's spray me? Sherry. You see, Sherry, you always starting something. um, but yeah, I don't know if anyone else not anyone else. I don't know if you guys, saw you know what? I'm not even gonna bring it up on this live. I'll bring it up on another live. But um just continue praying for everyone of our brothers and our sisters, whether we met them over at Daisy's or all right, J Marie, no problem. Or at Matthews or anywhere else on the streets. Just please pray for healing and sound mind, and let's just all try to get along and stop the stop the drama, and but like I said, if I hear my name in some ish, I'm gonna address it. So yeah, Daisy, I was hitting her up. Was it today or yesterday? She's been she's been really busy. Um, she's been going through it, y'all. So please make sure you pray for Daisy. Uh, it's tough. It's tough. Thank you, Gail. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was long, but I needed to get this information out. And like I said, there's a part 2 coming. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. So I love you all, and exactly. Exactly. My 3 sons, I know you missed some of it, so if you want, you can, go to the beginning and watch it, like, I covered a lot of stuff. Uh, yeah, Sarah, that'll be cool. And y'all drop some comments in the, after whatever, the replay and stuff so that I, so that I know you guys that missed it are actually, like, watching and stuff, I guess it helps the channel as well. And oh, we love you, D. Thank you for your time and effort. You're so welcome. I love you and I love all of y'all. Thanks for being here. And I hope you guys learned some new stuff. And yes, please pray for Christine. Definitely. Shout out to the mods, the members, and everyone that comes in here. Bobo, you were late too. Here comes class and kindness. Love you. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight and God bless you all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, my mystery aims. My recreation.
Yeah, slave to the beat, Diamondz creations heat. Gracias for the love, grinding in these streets. Haters in the bushes, peeping what I do. Live stream popping, fam, this for you. From DIYs to vlogs, we keep it lit. Crafting with passion, ain't never gonna quit. Blessed by the views, each and every click. Negativity slide off, I'm too slick. Gracias mi gente for riding with me. Building this empire from sea to shining sea. Leave a comment, toss a topic on the table. Diamondz creations, never telling fables. Yeah, flipping the script, crafts with a twist. Every sub, every like, you make the list. Haters busy lurking, I'm still cooking. Turning nothing into something, haters stay shookin'. Craft queens and kings, this one's for y'all. From paper to gold, you helped us stand tall. Channel never stalling, always evolving. Spreading love and glitter, problem solving. Gracias mi gente for riding with me. Building this empire from sea to shining sea. Leave a comment, toss a topic on the table. Diamondz creations, never telling fables. Flipping the script, crafts with a twist. Every sub, every like, you make the list. Haters busy lurking, I'm still cooking. Turning nothing into something, haters stay shookin'.